Chapter 105. Soon, Li Shulan's mobile phone rang. She took a look and found that Bai Wenjie had transferred 3 million yuan to her account. Although she was very angry when the gangsters smashed the store, Li Shulan still felt a little flustered when she saw such a long string of numbers. She whispered in Qin Haodong's ear, "Little Dong, is this appropriate?" Qin Haodong smiled and said, "It's a matter of course to pay back debts. They smashed our store and now they voluntarily pay for it. What's wrong with it? Just take it." After that, he turned to Bai Wenjie and said, "Am I right, Mr. Bai?" "Yes, that's right." Bai Wenjie endured the sharp pain in his arm and tried to squeeze a smile, but it was uglier than crying. Although Li Shulan was still a little uncertain, she hesitated for a moment and finally did not say anything. Bai Wenjie said, "Little brother, I have paid for it. Can I go now?" "Don't worry, we haven't finished yet," Qin Haodong said. Bai Wenjie grinned and said, "Yes, little brother, I have paid 3 million yuan. Why haven't you finished?" Qin Haodong pulled a chair and sat opposite Bai Wenjie. He said, "I heard that you have done a lot of wicked things these years. Let's settle this account today." Bai Wenjie said, This seems to have nothing to do with your family?" "It didn't have anything to do with us, but since you came to us today it has something to do with us. Today I will seek justice for the villagers of Wuxia County." Bai Wenjie grinned. He was now regretting it. Why did he suddenly come here to make trouble today? As a result, he was beaten like a dog and paid 3 million yuan. Now it seemed that it was not over. But now all the initiative was in the hands of Qin Haodong. He had no room to resist and could only bear it. Qin Haodong asked, "I heard that 7 people died in your mine. Not only did you not pay them a penny, but you also beat their families. Is that true?" It was not a secret in the whole Wuxia County. It was impossible for Bai Wenjie to deny it. He could only bite his teeth and said, "Yes, that's true. Now give them the money. 1 million for each family." Bai Wenjie shivered and cried, 1 million, that's too much. According to the normal compensation standard, it's about 300,000. If you were to compensate normally, it would be 300,000. But not only did you not pay, you even hit her family. You've been in arrears for so long, and the psychological damages added up to 1 million. Hurry up and pay. Bai Wenjie wanted to object, but in the face of the young man in front of him, he had no courage to resist. He could only say, "I don't know their account number. I can only transfer it to them after I go back and check it out." "That's simple. I can help you." After that, Qin Haodong dialed Chi Weiner's phone number and briefly told her what had happened. Then he said, "I need the bank accounts of the 7 victims' families. Can you find them?" Chi Weiner said, "It's too easy. I'll send it to your phone in 5 minutes." As the world's top hacker, this was not difficult for her at all. In less than 3 minutes, Qin Haodong's cell phone made a ding sound, and the family information and bank accounts of the 7 people were all sent to him. Qin Haodong handed the cell phone to Bai Wenjie and said, "Transfer the money." Bai Wenjie took the cell phone and looked at the information on it. It was indeed the information of the 7 victims' families. At this time his heart was full of doubts and shock. He didn't understand how Qin Haodong did it. He found out the family information so quickly. However, 7 million was not a small number for him. If he transferred it like this, his heart would bleed. He said, "Little brother, I can pay for it, but I really don't have so much cash in my account now. Can I pay it in a few days?" Qin Haodong didn't believe a word he said, but he was too lazy to talk nonsense. He directly used mind bewitching. "Mr. Bai, you are a reasonable person. They are all dead. It's not much to pay for 1 million. Hurry up and pay." "Little brother, you're right." Bai Wenjie's body shook slightly. He picked up his cell phone and began to transfer the money. Li Shulan and others were stunned. They didn't understand how the villain became so obedient. He was not even willing to pay 300,000 yuan before. Now he took out 1 million yuan. How could this happen? Bai Wenjie's account was still very sufficient. Soon he transferred 7 million yuan. Qin Haodong said, "And the wages you owe to the workers, now they have all been paid." Still without any hesitation, Bai Wenjie began to transfer money again. In less than 10 minutes, all the wages owed were transferred into the workers' accounts. Qin Haodong nodded with satisfaction and asked, "Do you still owe others money?" "No, that's all." Bai Wenjie said. "Well, tell me all the wicked things you have done these years from beginning to end." Then Qin Haodong said to Wang Rubing, "Sister, record it with your cell phone and post it on the internet later." All he did was to completely solve Bai Wenjie and send him to prison. Otherwise this guy would definitely come to trouble him later. Wang Rubing didn't understand. With Bai Wenjie's cunning, How could he say something to let her record it? But at this time Bai Wenjie had begun to talk incessantly. He said all the bad things he had done these years from beginning to end. Although they were all simple and concise, it took him more than 10 minutes. The people around were secretly speechless. This guy really did all kinds of bad things. Relying on his power in Wufeng County, he bullied men and women, robbed others' property, hurt and raped many times and even killed 2 people. With these crimes, it was not enough to be shot 10 times. Who is your backer? You have done so many illegal and criminal things. Is he covering for you? Qin Haodong wanted to bring down Bai Wenjie once and find out the brother-in-law behind him. Unexpectedly, there was a noise at the door and 7 or 8 policemen rushed in. Although there was still a little regret, it was more than enough to deal with Bai Wenjie with these things now. Qin Haodong said to Wang Rubing, "Post this video on the internet." Wang Rubing agreed and immediately sent the video to several major websites with the highest traffic in Wuxia. Although Bai Wenjie had some background in Wufeng County, as long as the video was released, she believed that no one would dare to speak for him. "Don't move. What's going on?" The middle-aged policeman with glasses was the head of the police station, Zhang Meng, who was in charge of this street. He had received the alarm from the Li family half an hour ago. However, Bai Wenjie had already told Zhang Meng before he came. He was rich and was the brother-in-law of the director of the Public Security Bureau, so Zhang Meng naturally did not dare not to give him face. He had been delayed until now. Originally, Zhang Meng wanted to deal with the funeral affairs for Bai Wenjie. He did not expect to see such a scene when he entered the door. Bai Wenjie, who had always been arrogant, was kneeling in front of a young man at this time. His expression was trembling and his gangsters were lying on the ground. A gangster closest to Zhang Meng got up from the ground, pointed to Qin Haodong and shouted, "Director Zhang, that's the guy who hurt us. You must help us." Zhang Meng glanced at Bai Wenjie, who was covered with blood. His face was covered with glass debris, and his left arm had been seriously deformed. The brother-in-law of the director was beaten like this in his jurisdiction. How could it be? If it was not handled well, he might not be able to keep the hat on his head. Thinking of this, he immediately shouted, "Come on, arrest the murderer for me." The 2 policemen behind him answered and rushed to Qin Haodong with handcuffs. Wang Rubing reached out to stop them and said angrily, "You didn't care when my house was smashed just now. Now my brother has cleaned up these gangsters and you come to arrest people. Is there any law?" "Yes, you can't arrest people randomly. The young man is a good man. You can't arrest him." At this time, people who had been hiding at the door to watch the scene all rushed in. The clinic, which was very spacious, was full of 70 or 80 people. When the gangsters smashed the clinic, these people gathered at the door, but they were afraid of Bai Wenjie's power. They were angry but dared not speak. Most of these people were the old neighbors of the Li family, who had received benefits from the Li family over the years. There were also a few families of the dead miners and migrant workers who owed wages. They just received a text message from the bank. The money they had asked for a long time had finally arrived. Naturally, they were full of gratitude to Qin Haodong. Now seeing the police arresting Qin Haodong, they could no longer hold back and rushed to stop the police from arresting him. Seeing so many people rushing together, Zhang Meng was also very nervous, but he still pretended to be calm and shouted, "What are you doing? You are obstructing official business. It's against the law." "We don't care about obstructing official business. We only know that the young man is a good man. You can't arrest him." "That's right. You are the police. You should arrest those gangsters." Looking at the excited people, Zhang Meng also felt guilty. If it really caused a group incident, he couldn't afford the consequences. But if he didn't arrest the young man, he couldn't afford the anger of the director. Thinking of the hat on his head, he shouted to everyone, "Didn't you see that he violated the law? He must go to the police station for investigation." At this time, Qin Haodong stepped over and said to Zhang Meng, "Officer, tell me, how did I break the law?" Zhang Meng pointed to the injured gangsters and shouted, "You hurt so many people. Isn't it illegal?" Qin Haodong's face darkened and said, "You only saw that they were injured. You didn't see what they did. Not only did they smash my grandfather's shop, but they also attacked me with weapons. Can't I defend myself? Can't I just stand here and be cut by them?" Wang Rubing also said, "That's right. My brother defended himself. There is a surveillance video in the shop. You can check it if you don't believe it. We all saw that the young man defended himself. These gangsters deserve to be beaten. We can all testify." The onlookers all shouted at the same time. Zhang Meng looked dull. He naturally knew what was going on. He pointed to the miserable Bai Wenjie and said, "Even if you beat those people in self-defense, what about Mr. Bai? You beat him like this. You have to give an explanation, right? Qin Haodong smiled and said to Bai Wenjie, Mr. Bai, this police officer wants an explanation. You can tell him. Bai Wenjie said, Director Zhang, I deserve to be beaten. I brought people to smash this traditional Chinese medicine clinic. I wanted to molest the little girl. It's all my fault. It has nothing to do with this young man. Besides, he also educated me and taught me to do good deeds and be a new man. Chapter 106. Zhang Ming was completely dumbfounded. Looking at Bai Wenjie's repentant face, he thought, is this the brother-in-law of the director who bullied others and was unreasonable? The onlookers were also dumbfounded. No one expected that this evil bully would turn over a new leaf. Did the sun rise from the west? After the shock, Zhang Ming was in a dilemma again. Although Qin Haodong had beaten so many people, it was self-defense. Bai Wenjie, the victim, was willing to do it. How could he arrest him? Bai Wenjie said again, Director Zhang, I've committed so many crimes. I want to surrender. Please arrest me as soon as possible. Zhang Ming suddenly felt a headache and a little confused. What's going on? He couldn't arrest those he wanted to, and those he didn't want to arrest voluntarily surrendered. He had been a policeman for more than 10 years, but this was the first time he had encountered such a situation. He hesitated for a moment and looked at the covetous crowd next to him. He knew that it was impossible to arrest Qin Haodong today. This matter could only be discussed later. Let's take Bai Wenjie and others away first. Arrest them all and take them away. Zhang Ming waved his hand and asked his men to handcuff all the gangsters, and then took Bai Wenjie out of the clinic. Of course, arresting them was just for show. These people would be released when they went out. Zhang Ming knew this kind of thing, so did his men. Just outside the gate, a little policeman whispered in Zhang Ming's ear, Director, shall we let Mr. Bai go back first? Not now. There are so many people watching. Let's take them back to the police station. Zhang Ming had faintly noticed that some people were looking at this side from behind. He asked his men to take Bai Wenjie to his police car. Other gangsters were also taken to other vehicles, and rushed to the police station together. There were 4 people in this car. In addition to Zhang Ming and Bai Wenjie, there was a driver and the little policeman. Both of them were Zhang Ming's confidants. After getting on the car, Zhang Ming asked, Mr. Bai, what's wrong with you today? Did that guy threaten you? Now it's all right. Tell me if you have anything to say. No one threatened me. I really realized my mistake, so I want to turn myself in. Please give me a chance to turn over a new leaf. Looking at Bai Wenjie's sincere face and repentant eyes, Zhang Ming cursed in his heart. What the fuck was going on? This guy must be crazy. After the young policeman got into the car, he didn't pay attention to them at all. He kept fiddling with the phone in his hand. Suddenly, his expression changed and he shouted, Chief, something bad has happened. Zhang Ming was a little annoyed. After hearing the little policeman's shout, he said discontentedly, What are you shouting for? What's the big deal? Even if the sky falls, I will hold it up. Director, look, Mr. Bai's video has been posted on the internet. Now he is the headline of many websites. After the young policeman finished speaking, he clicked on a video on his phone and sent it to Zhang Ming. Hearing that it was Bai Wenjie's video, Zhang Ming was slightly stunned, then reached out to take the mobile phone. After watching it from beginning to end, he was dumbfounded. Crazy. Crazy. Bai Wenjie was really crazy. This was the only thought in his mind at this time. Bai Wenjie confessed so many of his crimes, many of which were felonies, and there were 2 lives in it. The most important thing was that this video had been posted on the internet. With such a big storm, he couldn't suppress it even if he wanted to. At this time, their car had driven into the police station. A policeman behind ran over and asked, Director, should we let these people go? Go my ass. Take them all to the interrogation room. Don't let them go without my order. Zhang Ming had been a policeman for so many years. At this moment, he had realized the seriousness of this matter. Bai Wenjie's gangsters had worked with him for so many years, and none of them were clean. If they were released now, it would be a big trouble if they were traced. Not only these gangsters couldn't be released, but also Bai Wenjie couldn't be released. Now things had gone beyond the scope of his power, and he couldn't afford this responsibility. Although the policeman didn't understand why Zhang Ming suddenly changed his face, he could only send those gangsters to the interrogation room according to the order and lock them all up. Zhang Ming thought about it and decided to give this hot potato to Director Fu Haiken to deal with. Whether Bai Wenjie was arrested or released had nothing to do with him. Thinking of this, he took out his mobile phone and dialed Fu Haiken's phone. Director, I'm Zhang Ming. There is an important thing that I need to report to you urgently. What's the matter? You can say it. A middle-aged man's voice came over the phone. Director, this matter is particularly important. It's not clear on the phone. I must report it to you face to face. Although Zhang Meng was Fu Haiken's direct subordinate, this matter was too important, so he also kept an eye on it. If he reported it on the phone, what if Fu Haiken asked him to release Bai Wenjie? If he really released Bai Wenjie, Fu Haiken wouldn't admit it later, and the responsibility would be on him. So he must hand Bai Wenjie to Fu Haiken face to face. Well, come here. I'm at the Fragrance Hotel. Fu Haiken didn't know what happened here, and he trusted Zhang Meng very much, so he didn't think much and directly told him his location. Zhang Meng secretly breathed a sigh of relief and let the driver drive straight to the Fragrance Hotel. The Fragrance Hotel was the only 4-star hotel in Wuxia County, and it was also the most upscale hotel here. In the luxuriously decorated No. 1 VIP room, Fu Haiken, the director of the County Public Security Bureau, was sitting together with a short and fat middle-aged man. This man was Hong Tianbao, the boss of Tianbao Real Estate Group in Wuxia County. He had a very good relationship with Fu Haiken. When they were together, they had done a lot of shady things. Although there were only 2 of them having dinner today, there was a table full of wine and dishes, which looked very sumptuous. Hong Tianbao grabbed a bottle of Maotai and poured a full glass for Fu Haiken. He smiled flatteringly and said, "Brother, please help me with the reconstruction of the old street this time." Fu Haiken picked up the glass and took a sip gently. He said, "It's not easy to deal with the old street. Now it's ordered again and again that the police are not allowed to be involved in the demolition." Hong Tianbao said, "Brother, I know that and I don't want to trouble you. As long as you turn a blind eye when my people do it. To tell you the truth, the biggest difficulty of this demolition is the Jisher traditional Chinese medicine clinic. The old man surnamed Li is really a stone in the latrine pit, stinky and hard, but he is very prestigious in this area. No one can touch other people's houses if his family doesn't agree to the demolition. So I want to make a breakthrough from his house, and then it'll be easy for the other ordinary people." Fu Haiken said, "It's not easy to touch the old man Li Qingshan. He has a very high reputation in our Wuxia County. Even the 2 county leaders have been treated by him. If something really happened, no one would be able to bear the consequences. I think you'd better give him more money so as to avoid unnecessary trouble." "Brother, you don't know this, but I've already talked to that old man about other people's movements. I've already deducted half of the relocation fee and given all of it to him. However, this old fart still doesn't agree. He wants me to build a Chinese medicine clinic for him nearby, saying that he has to guarantee that he can treat everyone's illness before he agrees to relocate. Brother, think about it. Commercial outlets are so expensive now. If we just build a clinic for him, what can we earn? What do so many of my brothers eat? Besides, with the old man's bad temper, if we really give him more money, he will definitely go everywhere to show off. At that time the house can't be built." Hong Tianbao said, but he secretly cursed Fu Haiken in his heart. This guy usually benefited a lot from him, but when he needed him to work, he didn't want to take any responsibility. However, if he wanted to demolish Li Qingshan's clinic, he had to talk to Fu Haiken, the local tyrant. Just when he wanted to say something again, the door opened and Zhang Meng came in, followed by Bai Wenjie and the little policeman. Fu Haiken looked up at Zhang Meng and asked, "What's the matter?" Zhang Meng looked at Hong Tianbao and looked a little hesitant. Fu Haiken said, "Brother Hong is one of us. What's the matter?" With Fu Haiken's consent, Zhang Meng no longer hid and said, "Director, something big happened. Is Mr. Bai crazy?" What did you say?" Fu Haiken asked incredulously. At the same time, he looked at Bai Wenjie standing next to him and saw his brother-in-law covered with blood and a swollen face. He asked, "What the hell is going on?" "It's a long story. Director, you'd better watch this first," Zhang Meng said and waved to the little policeman. The little policeman immediately sent the mobile phone in his hand to Fu Haiken, and at the same time clicked the play button of the video. Fu Haiken looked at the video suspiciously. The more he watched, the more serious he looked. Finally, his whole face darkened. After watching the video, he slapped the table and scolded Bai Wenjie, "Is your fucking head kicked by a donkey? How dare you say anything? Even if you want to die, don't take me with you." Bai Wenjie's expression didn't change much. He said, "Brother-in-law, I know I'm wrong. I've done too many wicked things these years. I want to surrender to the public security organ." Fu Haiken didn't expect his brother-in-law to become like this. He cried to Zhang Meng, "This? What the hell is going on?" "Director, I suspect that Mr. Bai's brain has a problem. He must be crazy. Otherwise, who would say these terrible things clearly?" After listening to Zhang Meng, Fu Haiken took a deep breath and slowly calmed down. After all, he was also a person who had seen the wind and waves. He knew that the most important thing to do now was to be calm. Thinking of the video just now, although Bai Wenjie was crazy, he didn't say anything about himself, which was a blessing in misfortune. Thinking that he could keep his hat, he had a lot of confidence in his heart. He asked Zhang Meng, "What happened today? Why did Wenjie become like this?" "I don't know the details. It's like this." Zhang Meng learned from the beginning to the end of today's matter and finally said, "Director, I think this matter must have something to do with the little bastard adopted by old Li. This video must have been posted on the internet by him, including Mr. Bai's sudden madness. It's likely that he made it." After listening, Fu Haiken didn't speak. He leaned his head on the back of the chair, slowly closed his eyes and began to think. Now the urgent matter was how to deal with Bai Wenjie. If he was released, he couldn't bear it once the higher-ups investigated. Now the matter was too big, the higher-ups would inevitably send someone to investigate. He was just the director of the County Public Security Bureau, a cadre at the level of section chief. Such a big matter was not something he could handle. But if he didn't release Bai Wenjie, the tigress in his family only had such a brother. If he really sent Bai Wenjie to prison, the tigress would fight with him. Chapter 107. Hong Tianbao said to Fu Haiken, "Brother, in fact, you are confused by the person involved. I have a good way to deal with this matter." Fu Haiken suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Hong Tianbao. "Brother, tell me what's the good way? As long as you help me get through this, we will be brothers in the future." "Brother, are you worried about how to deal with Mr. Bai?" "Yes, he has made too much trouble now. It's really not easy to deal with. If he is really arrested, you know your sister-in-law's temper. She will make a scene with me. If he is not arrested, it will be a big trouble if the higher-ups really investigate it. Maybe I will be involved." Hong Tianbao said, "In fact, it's easy. Although Mr. Bai said so many things in the video, his spirit is obviously unstable. Who knows whether it is true or not? Besides, Mr. Bai is so seriously injured now. First, we should apply for medical parole for him to go to the hospital for treatment. Even if the higher-ups find out, there is nothing wrong with him." "Look, I'm really confused. I even forgot about medical parole. Fortunately, you reminded me." Fu Haiken looked relaxed, but then he said, "Brother Hong, although this method is good, it can only alleviate the problem for a while. It can't solve the problem fundamentally." Hong Tianbao smiled and said, "Although medical parole is not a long-term solution, brother, you forget that Mr. Bai is crazy now. Let's do a psychiatric identification for him. As long as we get that little book, even if he has committed a big crime, it will not be a problem." "Brother Hong, you're really smart. I'll remember this favor." Fu Haiken laughed. With his power in Wufeng County, it was easy to get a psychiatric certificate for Bai Wenjie. Moreover, Bai Wenjie's brain was really wrong now. He turned to Zhang Meng and said, "Hurry up. First, send Wenjie to the hospital for treatment, and then give him a medical parole procedure. The procedure must be done well. Don't let the higher-ups find anything wrong with him." "Got it, Director. I'll do it now." Zhang Meng promised and left the office with Bai Wenjie. This ending was a happy one for everyone. He had benefited a lot from Bai Wenjie over the years. If he really wanted to thoroughly investigate, it would not be good. After they left, Hong Tianbao said to Fu Haiken, "Brother, this matter is only half solved. There is still half left." Fu Haiken's mind was very sharp as he sat in this position. He was just too shocked and confused. Now that he had calmed down, he immediately reacted after hearing Hong Tianbao's words. "Are you referring to the Li family?" "Yes, today's problem mainly lies with the grandson that old man Li adopted. If he doesn't let this matter go, it will be troublesome if the higher-ups really want to investigate it thoroughly. The best way is to get rid of him in advance." Fu Haiken touched his chin and said after pondering, "The higher-ups will definitely send someone to investigate this matter, so if we want to touch that kid, we have to be thorough. We can't leave any traces. He's just a brat who hasn't even grown his hair yet. It'll be easy to deal with him." Hong Tianbao said with a sinister smile, "Brother, you've just heard that this kid is hot-tempered and has some skills. If I ask someone to demolish his house now, he won't be able to control his anger and will inevitably do something to my people. At that time, I'll arrest him and send him to the police station. Let him stay there for 3 or 5 years. When he comes out, the storm will have passed and nothing will happen." Fu Haiken immediately understood that Hong Tianbao wanted to take this opportunity to demolish Li Qingshan's traditional Chinese medicine clinic. However, this approach was also beneficial to him, so he did not object. He thought for a moment and said, It's a good idea, but are you sure that old man Li's family has no background? If we really provoke some big shots, it will still be troublesome. I can guarantee this. Old man Li has treated some diseases for these years. His family has nothing to offer at all, because of the public relations. And you've seen that his traditional Chinese medicine clinic has been smashed by Mr. Bai. If he had any background, he would have used it long ago. Fu Haiken thought for a moment, nodded and said, "Brother, you're right. Let's do as you say, but be quick. We must get the kid in before the investigation team comes." Hong Tianbao was overjoyed. His method not only solved the problem of demolition, but also tied Fu Haiken to himself. Today's meal was really worth it. He got such a big surprise. "Don't worry, brother. I'll arrange people now. Let the kids spend the night in prison tonight." Then he immediately got up and went to arrange the forced demolition. In Jisher Traditional Chinese Medicine Clinic, after Zhang Meng and others left, those who received the money thanked Qin Haodong, especially the families of the deceased who got 1 million yuan at once. They knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Qin Haodong excitedly. They didn't even get any compensation before. Finally, these neighbors were all sent away. Li Shulan took Qin Haodong's hand and said, "Little Dong, go quickly. You beat Bai Wenjie. His brother-in-law is the director of the Public Security Bureau. He will definitely send someone to arrest you later." "Don't worry, Aunt. Now so many things have happened to Bai Wenjie. He can't protect himself. How can he care about me?" Qin Haodong had indeed arranged this. With his current cultivation, mind manipulating could be kept in Bai Wenjie's mind for 3 days. He would certainly not retaliate within 3 days. After 3 days he would be arrested and put in prison. Is it really all right? Li Shulan was still a little worried. Qin Haodong said, "Of course it's all right. Bai Wenjie's brother-in-law is just a director of the Public Security Bureau. He is not the emperor. He can't protect such a big thing." Li Shulan thought about it and felt relieved. At this time Wang Rubing stepped forward and pinched Qin Haodong's ear. She said, "Little boy, tell me, when did you become so powerful?" Qin Haodong hurriedly cried, Sister, let go of me. How can I get a wife in the future if you pull my ear long?" He and Wang Rubing grew up together, and Wang Rubing was only 3 days older than him. They were of the same age. They had the best relationship in ordinary days. It was common for them to fight. Although Qin Haodong was the Emperor Greenwood these years and his status in the cultivation world was unparalleled, he couldn't find this kind of family feeling. Therefore he enjoyed the current family atmosphere very much. Li Shulan said, "Girl, let go of little Dong, or your grandma will scold you again when she comes back." Wang Rubing snorted and let go of Qin Haodong's ear. Li Shulan asked again, "Little Dong, tell me what the hell is going on. When did you learn Kung Fu?" Of course, Qin Haodong couldn't tell that he was a cultivator. He said, "Aunt, my elective course in college these years is Sanda. It's not surprising that I know a little Kung Fu." "Come on, can the Kung Fu you learned in college be so powerful?" Wang Rubing didn't believe it. "I'm a martial arts genius. If you are bullied by your boyfriend in the future, just come to me. I will beat him into a pig's head," Qin Haodong said with a smile. "You." Wang Rubing reached out to grab the other ear of Qin Haodong. Li Qingshan said, "Well, stop it. I have something to ask little Dong." Wang Rubing glared at Qin Haodong and took back her right hand. Li Qingshan said to Qin Haodong, "Boy, who did you learn the skill of bone setting?" "I learned it from an old professor in our school. He has retired now. If Grandpa wants to learn, I can teach you." Qin Haodong fabricated a retired old professor. Anyway, no one knew whether what he said was true or not. "Oh?" Li Qingshan sighed, "There are masters in Jiangnan Medical College. It was right to let you go there to study medicine. It seems that if you want to learn skills, you have to go to big cities." Speaking of this, Wang Rubing said excitedly, "Little boy, I tell you, I also went to Jiangnan City. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, I will protect you." Although they went to college together, the medical college took 5 years to graduate. The ordinary undergraduate university she studied in another city only took 4 years, and she just graduated this year. Qin Haodong asked, "Sister, where did you go?" Li Shulan said with a happy face, "Little Dong, your sister took the civil service examination after graduation. I didn't expect that she really passed the examination. In a few days she will report to the Jiangnan Health Bureau." For ordinary families like them, it was absolutely a great joy for their children to be admitted to the civil service. Yes, that's great. Qin Haodong was also happy for his aunt and sister. He said, "Sister, when you arrive in Jiangnan City, come to me. I will arrange a place for you to live." He was very clear that his aunt's family could not afford to buy a house in Jiangnan City in a short period of time. Even if they rented a house, it would be a big financial burden. Moreover, there were so many empty rooms in his villa. It was just right for Wang Rubing to live there. Before Wang Rubing could speak, Li Shulan quickly said, "That's not good. It's not easy for you to live alone in Jiangnan City. Your sister has graduated and worked to make money. How can you let her bother you?" "Aunt, it's not troublesome." Qin Haodong said half of the words and finally didn't tell her about his villa. After all, what happened today was enough to shock his family. If he said too much, he was afraid that they would not be able to accept it for a while. "Little Dong, don't say it. It's absolutely impossible." Li Shulan kindly refused again. Qin Haodong sighed and said nothing. When he returned to Jiangnan City, he would directly pick up his sister. Li Shulan said again, "Little Dong, the 3 million yuan you just asked for can be used to renovate the clinic. You can take the rest to buy a suite in Jiangnan City. Now it's hard to find a wife without a house." Qin Haodong was moved. This aunt treated him better than his own mother. She didn't think of her daughter first when she got the money, but thought of him first. He said, "Aunt, I can't take the money. It's all for Grandpa. This house is too shabby. There's no need to renovate it. Let's renovate a new clinic." Li Qingshan said, "Little Dong, you can't do that. I can manage the clinic alone. You asked for the money. You can take it all." "Grandpa, I really can't take it. And I'm not short of money. I have a lot of money now." Li Shulan said, "This child is talking nonsense again. You are a student. How can you earn money? Just take it." When they were talking, a white-haired old lady came in from the door. It was Qin Haodong's grandmother, Zuolanji. The old lady was over 70 years old this year, but because of good maintenance she was not deaf and blind, so she walked easily. As soon as she entered the door, the old lady did not notice the smashed clinic, but saw Qin Haodong at a glance. "Little Dong, grandson, you're back. I miss you so much." After seeing Zuolanji, Qin Haodong was moved. This old lady had favored him since he was a child. She treated him better than her own grandson. "Grandma, you're back. Be careful when you walk." There were smashed pieces everywhere on the ground. Qin Haodong rushed to hold the old lady for fear that she would fall. Chapter 108. Qin Haodong was afraid that the old lady would worry and said, "Grandma, you don't have to worry about it. Grandpa's clinic is too shabby. We'll build a new one in a few days, a big one." Li Shulan also said, "Yes, Mom, Dong is finally back. Don't worry about those things. Let's talk in the yard." "I don't care. I don't care about anything. Old man, you can do whatever you want. Come, let's talk in the yard." Zuolanji took Qin Haodong's hand and went through the clinic to the backyard. She sat down on a bamboo chair and pulled Qin Haodong to sit beside her. The old lady had 2 grandchildren, but because of the sarcasm of her 2 daughters-in-law, the 2 grandchildren were not close to her since they were young. They could not see each other once a year. When they came, they just asked the old lady for money. In contrast, Zuolanji loved Qin Haodong, who grew up with her and was obedient and sensible. He was better than her own grandson. Qin Haodong was also very intimate with the old lady. He took Zuolanji's hand and said, "Grandma, where did you go just now? Why didn't I see you?" Zuolanji said, "What else can I do? I asked my old sisters to help you find a wife. This afternoon is not in vain. I have arranged 3 girls for you tomorrow. Go with me on a blind date in the morning." After the old lady finished, Wang Rubing covered her mouth and giggled. Qin Haodong said with a bitter face, "What? Blind date? Grandma, I haven't graduated from college yet. Why are you in such a hurry? Aren't you going to graduate in a year? It's a good thing to settle your marriage now and get married as soon as you graduate next year. Now there are more men than women in Wuxia. You have to hurry to find a partner. Besides, Grandma is eager to hold a great-grandson." Qin Haodong was speechless. "Grandma, it's not urgent to find a partner. What's more, there's no blind date now." "Why not? You have to listen to Grandma." Zuolanji said, "Dong, since your grandfather brought you back to our Li family, we have to treat you as our own grandson. If one day your biological parents come and we marry a wife for you, your grandfather and I will be able to explain it." "Grandma." Qin Haodong didn't know what to say, but he was deeply moved. Li Shulan said, "When Grandma heard that you were coming back today, she immediately went out to find a wife for you. It seems that you can't refuse her." Qin Haodong had no choice but to say, "Grandma, to tell you the truth, I already have a girlfriend, so I don't need a blind date." "Stinking brat, are you trying to deceive your grandmother? Don't think that you can fool me just because I'm old. If you have a girlfriend, why didn't you tell me before? Once I ask you to go on a blind date, you'll have a girlfriend. Unless you bring her here now, you'll have to go on a blind date tomorrow morning. Grandma, what I said is true. Why don't I call her now and let you talk to her? The old lady said excitedly, Really? You really have a wife? Hurry up and call her. I want to have a good chat with my granddaughter-in-law. In order not to go on a blind date, Qin Haodong had to dial Lin Momo's number. Unexpectedly, as soon as the phone was connected, there came a prompt that the phone was turned off. Qin Haodong couldn't help it. He knew that Lin Momo would always turn off her phone when she was in a meeting. It seemed that she was in a meeting now. Dong, did you call her? Zuolanji asked expectantly. Grandma, her phone is turned off. Maybe there's something over there. How about we call again tomorrow? Stinking brat, you lied to my old lady again. How can there be such a coincidence? Seeing that she couldn't talk to her granddaughter-in-law, the old lady immediately changed her face. You'll go on a blind date tomorrow morning. Don't try to fool my old lady again. Li Shulan sneered, Dong, it seems that you can't avoid a blind date, but it's also a good thing. What if you meet a girl you like? Qin Haodong was speechless. He never thought that he would have a blind date. At this moment there was a sound of footsteps at the door. For people came in one after another. Zuolanji turned her head and the smile on her face suddenly disappeared. Two middle-aged couples came in. Li Qingshan's eldest son, Li Cheng, and his daughter-in-law Zhang Feng walked in front. His second son Li Kai and his second daughter-in-law Zhao Haili walked behind. Li Qingshan and his wife had two sons and a daughter. The younger daughter, Li Shulan, was very filial. She often came to visit the two old people on weekdays. The two sons could basically only see each other once in the spring festival. Every time, because of asking for money from the old couple, they separated on bad terms. Last spring festival they didn't even see their shadow. Today they suddenly came. If you wanted to enter the yard of Li's house, you had to go through the clinic at the door first. When entering the door, Li Cheng saw a broken ground and said, Dad, what's going on? Why was the clinic smashed? Before Li Qingshan spoke, the second son, Li Kai, said, It's good that the house is going to be moved. It's convenient to smash it. Li Qingshan originally sat aside and drank tea. Hearing Li Kai's words, he put the teacup on the table heavily and said angrily, Bastard, what are you talking about? That's right. We'll move it right away. What's the point of keeping this broken clinic if we move it? Anyway, it's not profitable. Li Qingshan suddenly became angry and said angrily, Little bastard, get out of here. Even if I die, I will die here. Let's see who dares to touch my house. Li Kai still wanted to say something but was pulled behind by his wife, Zhao Haili. Your broken mouth can't speak at all. You make our father angry when you open your mouth. Chapter 109. What else did Li Kai want to say? Li Qingshan overturned the table and said angrily, That's enough, you two unfilial sons. Let me tell you, this house belongs to my old man, and no one can have any ideas about it. I won't move even if it's 2 million, let alone 1 million. I still want to open a clinic here. Li Kai said, Dad, I don't mean to criticize you, but how much money has this broken clinic made in your whole life? You're so old. Take a rest. Why do you still open it? Li Cheng said, Yes, Dad. It's your grandson's business. To put it bluntly, it's our Li family's business. Anyway, you should sell the house and help the children buy a house. That's the right thing to do. Li Lanji also stood up from the stool and said, Well, boss. Now you're eloquent. You can talk like a tongue twister. But today, even if you say something stupid, this house belongs to me and your father. Don't even think about it. Zhang Feng said, Mom, I don't like what you said. We're all family. When you and Dad die in a few years, this house will be ours. It's better to give it to us now than to give it to them at that time. Zhao Haili also said, Yes, Dongfang and Donghai are both your grandsons. Shouldn't you give them the house? Li Qingshan said furiously again, Now you're saying he's our grandson? Just pat yourself on the chest and think about it. How many times have the two of them called me grandfather, and how many times have they called your mother grandmother? We don't even see them once a year. Now that they need money, they're about to become our grandson? Today I'm telling you that you have no share in this house now. Even if your mother and I die, you will not have a share. Hearing this, Li Cheng immediately became anxious. He stood up and cried, Dad, are you old and confused? We are your sons. If you don't give the house to us, do you want to give it to the bastard you picked up? Li Qing also cried, yes, Dad, I really don't know what you're thinking. At that time you suddenly picked up a bastard. Our Li family has raised him for so many years. It's enough. Do you really want to give the house to him? Qin Haodong's face instantly became gloomy. He didn't expect that he would be involved in the fight for the real estate. The two of them kept referring to him as a bastard and a wild child, which just happened to be the two words he hated the most. If it were not for the fact that they were the sons of the old man, Li Qingshan, he would have exploded a long time ago. Wang Rubing, who had been silent, saw Qin Haodong's anger. She gently pulled his hand and said, little brother, don't bother with them. They are elders after all. Qin Haodong breathed a sigh of relief. Over the years he had been ridiculed and looked down upon by these people in the Li family, but in the end he had endured it for the sake of his grandparents. However, after hearing what they said, Li Qingshan was furious. Bullsh *T Haodong is my grandson. If you two don't know how to speak human language, then get out. This family doesn't welcome you. Li Lanji also said, since Xiaodong entered our Li family, he is a member of our Li family. If you don't recognize him, then get out. Seeing that the old man and the old lady were angry, Li Cheng and Li Kai did not dare to make trouble with them too much. After all, they still hoped to get the house from the old man. They turned their heads and vented their anger on Qin Haodong. Li Cheng cried, Qin, our Li family has raised you for more than 20 years. We have done our best. Why do you come back? Li Kai said, are you back to ask for money? Or did you hear that our house is going to be moved? Chen, you come back to take the house? I'll tell you today, it's impossible to take a penny from our Li family. You unfilial son, I'll kill you today. Li Qingshan raised his crutch and was about to rush to Li Cheng and Li Kai. However, the old man was now old and angry. He had just taken 2 steps when he almost fell down. Qin Haodong hurried over to support him. Grandpa, don't be angry. I'll deal with it. Qin Haodong said and helped Li Qingshan to sit on the chair. Then he turned to look at Li Cheng and Li Kai. The Li family has raised me for so many years. Grandpa and Grandma take me as their grandson. My aunt takes me as her son. I always remember this. I come back today not to plot for the old man's property, nor to ask for money. I come back to repay the kindness. Li Cheng said, repay the kindness? It sounds nice. You just say a few beautiful words and then ask for money from the old man. Li Kai said, if you really want to repay the kindness, then take out the money for our Li family. The rest is nonsense. Zhao Haili said to Li Kai, are you out of your mind? If it weren't for our Li family, he would have starved to death. How could he get the money? Li Shulan said angrily, what are you talking about? Haodong is still in school. Where do you want him to get the money? Zhang Feng said, is school a reason? Normally, it's enough for our Li family to raise him until he is 18 years old. We also need to support him to go to college. Others spend 4 years in college, but he spends 5 years in college. How much does it cost? Li Shulan said, what does it have to do with you? Have you ever paid a dime? Zhang Feng said, how does it have nothing to do with me? Spending the old man's money is equal to spending our family's money. Zhao Haili said, exactly. I think the old man is really confused. He has money for an outsider instead of his own grandson. You. Li Shulan was really angry by these people's shamelessness. She was trembling all over and couldn't say a word. Aunt, take a rest. You don't have to be angry with these people. Qin Haodong pulled Li Shulan back and handed her to Wang Rubing. He looked back at Li Cheng and Li Kai. These bastards bullied him in the past, but they were also unfilial to the old man and had no sense of affection for his aunt. This kind of people must be punished. And for those who were greedy for money, the biggest punishment was to make them lose their property. I came back this time to repay my grandparents' kindness, such as giving Grandpa 1 million yuan to renovate this clinic and build it into the best traditional Chinese medicine clinic in Wufeng County. As soon as he finished speaking, the people in front of him burst into laughter as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. They rocked back and forth with laughter. Li Shulan thought that Qin Haodong was going to take 1 million yuan out of the 3 million yuan that Bai Wenjie compensated, so she didn't feel surprised. She couldn't help but say, what are you laughing at? What Haodong said is true. Li Cheng laughed enough and said, are you kidding me? How can he have money? Only silly women like you will be fooled. Li Kai said, that's right. He is a wild child who doesn't even want his parents. If it weren't for our Li family, he would have starved to death. How could he take out 1 million yuan? Qin Haodong's expression didn't change at all. As expected, these two bastards were fooled. He said, If I can really take out 1 million yuan, what will you say? Li Cheng said, boy, you can only fool silly women and old fools. How can you fool me? As long as you can take out 1 million yuan, I will immediately kowtow to you and admit my mistake. Li Kai followed and said, count me in. As long as you can take out the money, I will also kowtow to you and admit my mistake. Qin Haodong's eyes became colder when he saw these two unfilial sons scolding their grandparents and aunt as fools. I don't want you to kneel down and apologize. How about making a bet? If I take out 1 million yuan now, you will give up the inheritance of this house. Do you dare to bet? When it came to the inheritance of the house, Li Cheng immediately hesitated. He had been eyeing the old man's house for a long time. How could he be willing to give it up? Li Kai said indifferently, brother, you are also in your 50s. How can you be scared by a yellow-haired child? Even if you beat him to death, he can't take out 1 million yuan. Li Cheng thought about it and agreed. They knew Qin Haodong's background very well. How could an orphan who didn't even know who his parents were and a poor student who had to work during holidays get 1 million yuan? However, he still said, we can bet. There is nothing to be afraid of, but what will you bet with us? Qin Haodong said, aren't you afraid that Grandpa will give me the house? If I lose, not only will I not give up the house, but I will also persuade Grandpa to give it to you immediately. After listening to him, Li Cheng and Li Kai's eyes lit up. What they were most afraid of now was that the house would fall into Qin Haodong's hands. If Qin Haodong promised to give up, he would be confident. Li Kai rolled his eyes and said, it's still a little unfair to us. It's our Li family's money. If you lose, give us an IOU of 1 million yuan. If you agree, we will bet with you. He knew that Qin Haodong studied medicine. Although he was a little poor now, he would earn a lot of money every year after graduation. If he wrote an IOU now, he would definitely be able to get money in the future. No problem. Qin Haodong agreed readily. Zhang Feng said, it's not enough to just talk about such a big thing. You must write it down. Zhao Haili added, and you must take out the money today. You can't go out to borrow money or get a loan. They tried their best to block Qin Haodong's loopholes. No problem. Do as you say. Qin Haodong agreed again. Wang Rubing secretly said in his ear, little brother, you can't be impulsive. Now the bank is closed. You can't withdraw money even if you want to, and such a large amount of money must be withdrawn in advance. Don't worry, sister. I know what I'm doing, Qin Haodong said. At this time, Li Cheng had already fetched a pen and paper as fast as possible, as if he was afraid that Qin Haodong would go back on his word. He knew that the court would not support the bet, so he wrote it down in the form of an agreement. Do you think it's okay? If you agree, let's sign it. Li Cheng sent the written agreement to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong looked at it and had to say that the agreement was very well written. It was very strict. As long as both sides signed it, no one could go back on their word. He secretly laughed in his heart. What did it mean to be caught in a trap of one's own making? What did it mean to shoot oneself in the foot? These people would know that they were looking for trouble later. No problem, let's sign it together. The agreement was made in 5 copies. Qin Haodong not only signed it himself, but also asked Li Cheng, Li Kai, Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili to sign it. Taking the agreement in his hand, Li Cheng smiled proudly and then said, well, the agreement has been signed. You can take the money. Li Kai said, boy, you can deceive old men and old women, but you're too young to deceive us. Now you know what it means to go for wool and fail. Chapter 110. Li Shulan held a bank card in her hand and said, I can testify for Dong. There's 3 million in this card. Li Cheng looked at her disdainfully and said, little sister, you're in your 40s. Why did you learn to cheat? Why don't you say there's 30 million in a card? How did I cheat? There's 3 million from Dong in this card. Li Shulan blushed. She tried hard to explain, but Li Cheng waved his hand impatiently and said, well, even if there's 3 million in your card, what's the use? We've just written it in the agreement that the 1 million must be in cash. No matter how much money is in the card, it doesn't count. The other 3 nodded. They didn't believe that there was 3 million in Li Shulan's card. They thought she just wanted to help Qin Haodong get away with it. Li Shulan looked at Qin Haodong and whispered anxiously, Dong, what should we do now? Don't worry. I'm prepared. After saying that, Qin Haodong walked to the door, opened the door, and drove the black Honda that was parked at the door in front of Li Cheng and the others. After getting out of the car, he opened the back door and took out a box of Moutai. Everyone looked at Qin Haodong and didn't know what he was going to do. Zhang Feng sneered and said, what? You don't mean the money is in this box, do you? Qin Haodong ignored her. He tore open the box of Maotai and took out a bottle of Maotai. He looked up and said to Li Cheng, "Uncle, Grandpa raised me for so many years. I've always called you that since I was a child. Today is the last time I call you that. Since you don't care about the family relationship with Grandpa, I won't recognize you as an uncle anymore." Li Cheng curled his lips and said with disdain, "Do I care? It's better that there's no relationship between us. From now on, you don't know me and I don't know you. That's the best. Let's end it today." Qin Haodong raised the Maotai in his hand and said, "Although I've been an outsider in your eyes since I was a child and you've been sneering at me, I've prepared a gift for you this time for the sake of Grandpa. I know you love to drink. You should recognize this, right? It's a 15-year bottle of Maotai, priced at 7,680 yuan per bottle. This box of wine was originally meant for you, but now it seems like there's no need for it at all." After that, he raised the bottle in his hand and smashed it hard on the ground. With a crisp sound, the Maotai was smashed into pieces. The liquor splashed everywhere, and a strong aroma of wine drilled into everyone's nostrils. Then he picked up the remaining 5 bottles of wine and smashed them on the ground one by one. With the shattering of these bottles, it also marked that he no longer had any relationship with Li Cheng. Li Cheng didn't expect that Qin Haodong would bring him such expensive Maotai, and he didn't expect it to be smashed into pieces in the blink of an eye. Seeing the good wine flowing on the ground, he was so distressed that he stamped his feet and wanted to lie on the ground. Everyone else was stunned. No one had expected that Qin Haodong would be so straightforward. A bottle of Maotai was worth more than 7,000 yuan, and 6 bottles added up to nearly 50,000 yuan. How could he just throw it away like that? Zhang Feng said, "Honey, don't believe him. I don't believe that a poor boy like him would spend 40,000 or 50,000 yuan to buy you wine. This must be fake wine to cheat you." Li Cheng grinned and didn't speak. He knew very well whether the wine was real or fake. He loved drinking the most in his life. Although he had never drunk such a good Maotai, he could smell from the strong aroma of the wine that it was definitely the real Maotai. After finishing the box of Maotai, Qin Haodong turned his hand and took a box of cigarettes from the back seat of the car. He looked up and said to Li Kai, "Second uncle, this is also the last time I call you that. I know you like smoking, so I brought you a box of Chunghua cigarettes this time. These cigarettes cost 1,000 yuan each and 50 cartons cost 50,000 yuan in total. Now let's make an end of it." After that, he took out a lighter and directly lit the box of Chunghua cigarettes. Then a raging fire ignited, and the box of cigarettes worth 50,000 yuan was burned. The aroma of Chunghua cigarettes and the aroma of Maotai just now mixed together, filling the whole courtyard. Li Kai was dumbfounded. Whether it was a whole box of Chunghua cigarettes or 50,000 yuan, it was enough to make him feel distressed. Li Shulan believed Qin Haodong's words. Seeing that 100,000 yuan was burned in the blink of an eye, she felt distressed and said, "Dong, it's not worth it." Qin Haodong smiled indifferently and said, "Anyway, I have called them uncles for so many years. 100,000 yuan is nothing to make an end of it." After that, he took out 2 bags with LV logo from the back seat of the car and said to Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili, "These years, you two have called me a bastard in front of and behind my back. But after all, you are the daughters-in-law of the Li family. This time I also prepared a gift. These 2 are genuine LV bags, 20,000 yuan each. Now I don't need them at all." Zhang Feng usually liked shopping in luxury stores. Although she couldn't afford it, it was good to have a look. At this time, she recognized that these 2 were genuine LV bags at a glance. She quickly said, "Dong, since you bought it, give it to us. Don't waste it." "Give it to you?" Qin Haodong smiled coldly and said, "Women like you who are mean, don't know filial piety and only have money in their eyes, might as well burn them." After that, he shook his hand and the 2 bags fell into the fire of the Chunghua cigarettes. Soon they were burned into a pile of coke. Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili were so distressed that they couldn't wait to rush into the fire and fish out the 2 bags. At this time, there was a faint regret in their hearts. They didn't know how Qin Haodong had so much money and why he bought such good gifts for them. But it was too late to regret now. Qin Haodong took out 2 of the latest fruit mobile phones and waved them in front of Li Cheng and Li Kai. "And my 2 cousins, although they bullied me, beat me and scolded me since I was a child, I still prepared 2 mobile phones for them. Let's burn them too." Soon the 2 mobile phones also fell into the fire. Li Cheng licked his dry lips, swallowed his saliva and said, "Qin Haodong, what do you mean? Are you showing off to us?" Qin Haodong smiled disdainfully and said, "It's not showing off and I don't need to show off to you. I've already said that it's just an end. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Li Kai said, it's useless to do these things. Who are you fooling with a bunch of fake things? Although he was very clear in his heart that these things that Qin Haodong took out were absolutely not fake, he had to say so against his conscience for the sake of his face. Fake, right? Why don't you check if this is fake? After that, Qin Haodong opened the trunk of the Honda and took out 3 suitcases. He put them on the ground and opened them one by one. They were all colorful Wuxia currency. Last time he sold a Schwanda sensor on the antique street, he got 30 million from Guofeng. Later, for convenience, he exchanged 5 million in cash and put it in the storage ring. Just now, he just took out 3 million under the cover of the trunk. He opened a suitcase and said, Grandpa and Grandma took care of me as their own since I was a child. I've always remembered it. This time I came back to renovate the clinic for them, so I prepared 1 million for them. Li Qing and Li Kai were completely dumbfounded. They never dreamed that Qin Haodong could easily take out 1 million in cash. If that was the case, according to the agreement they had just signed, they would lose the right to inherit the old man's property. Li Shulan and Wang Rubing were also surprised, but soon they were surprised. They had always regarded Qin Haodong as the closest person. Naturally, they would be happy when their relatives were rich. It's impossible. It's impossible. How can a poor boy like you have so much money? Li Qing said like crazy. He rushed over and grabbed the suitcase, took out the Wuxia currency from it and checked it stack by stack. Soon he sat on the ground dejectedly. The money was as real as the cigarettes and wine just now. There was no fake at all. Qin Haodong ignored them and sent the other 2 suitcases to Li Shulan and Wang Rubing respectively. Aunt, sister, I will remember your kindness to me these years. Take the money. It's a token of my appreciation. No, Dong, you can't take the money from me and your sister. Li Shulan quickly pushed the 2 suitcases back and said, you haven't married yet. There will be a lot of money in the future. You can keep the money to buy a suite in Jiangnan. Qin Haodong said, Aunt, you and sister can take it. I still have money in a house. Li Shulan's face changed and asked, Dong, tell me the truth. Where did the money come from? I tell you, no matter how poor we are, we can't do illegal things and we can't go against our conscience. And what are you talking about? Don't you believe me? This money was definitely obtained in a clean and above-board manner. Qin Haodong put the 2 suitcases into Li Shulan's arms and said, you and sister must take the money, or you will treat me as an outsider. Seeing Qin Haodong's solemn words, Li Shulan said, well, I will keep the money for you. You can ask me for money when you need it. Don't save it. You can spend it if you need it. I have more. Qin Haodong said and turned to look at Li Cheng and others. How about it? Did you see it clearly? Is it 1 million? Li Cheng said with a flattering face, Dong, it is indeed 1 million, but I was just joking with you. We are a family. How can we bet with this thing? Li Kai smiled like a chrysanthemum and said, yes, yes, we are a family. How can we bet? It's just a joke. After that, the 2 of them threw the agreement in their hands into the fire. Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili also quickly took out the agreement in their pockets and threw it into the fire. Dong, I have long seen that you are promising. Please forgive me if I have wronged you before. Yes, Dong, if I have wronged you, just tell me. I promise I will change it immediately. Joe. Why didn't I see it? Qin Haodong sneered and took out the agreement on his body. This is signed by the 4 of you. It's legally binding wherever you take it. Now you can all go back. My grandfather's house has nothing to do with you anymore. Xiaodong, I told you that we are a family. We can discuss about the house. Li Cheng came to Qin Haodong with a charming smile and said, Dong, you are rich now. Your cousin is in urgent need of money for his wedding. Can you lend me 500,000? Chapter 111. Borrow money? Qin Haodong sneered and said, we've just made a clean break. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Since you're strangers, why should I lend you money? Li Cheng said with a flattering face, Dong, I've already told you that it was just a joke. You can't take it seriously. We're still a family. You lost the bet. Now that I have some money, we're a family again? Qin Haodong looked at them with disgust and said, Grandpa has been kind and upright all his life. He has saved countless people. I really don't know how he gave birth to you 2 shameless things. Today I'm telling you to give up. Although I have a lot of money, I won't lend it to you even if I have to burn it. Looking at Qin Haodong's firm expression, Li Qing realized that this young man couldn't be coaxed with a few words. It was impossible to borrow money. Since he couldn't get the money, there was no need for him to be humble. The smile on his face immediately disappeared. He pointed at Qin Haodong and scolded, "Little bastard, don't think you're great just because you have some money. I don't care how much money you have." Li Kai also scolded, "Yes, little bastard, you're a jinx. You've messed up our family like this. There's no way for you to occupy our property." While they were scolding happily, they suddenly felt a pain on their faces. After a series of banging sounds, they flew out. Li Qing got up from the ground and couldn't believe what had happened in front of him. Qin Haodong had been respectful to them since he was a child. He didn't expect that he would hit them today. He covered his swollen cheek, pointed at Qin Haodong again and scolded, "Little bastard, how dare you hit me?" Before he finished speaking, Qin Haodong grabbed his collar and slapped him several times. Then he reached into his pocket and took out 3 or 4 stacks of 100 yuan bills and threw them back into the suitcase. Li Cheng had just secretly put the money into his pocket and thought that no one had seen it. In fact, it had been clearly seen by Qin Haodong. Li Kai got up from the ground. He wanted to curse a few words, but when he saw Li Cheng's fate and Qin Haodong's cold eyes, he was so scared that he swallowed his words and didn't dare to say anything. Qin Haodong said in a cold voice, "I didn't have parents since I was a child, but not everyone can call me a bastard. I put up with you before because you are my uncle and second uncle. But now we have drawn a line and I don't have to put up with you anymore. If any of you dare to scold me again, you will end up like this table." After Qin Haodong finished speaking, he raised his hand and slapped the table next to him. The solid wooden square table was like a piece of paper under his hand. With a crash, it broke into pieces on the ground. Li Cheng looked at Li Kai and then at his wife, Zhang Feng. Everyone's eyes were filled with horror. No one had expected that Qin Haodong, who used to be respectful to them, would be so strong and cruel after breaking up with them. "Throw all the money in your pockets back to me. Don't wait for me to make a move. Then get out and don't let me see you again." Qin Haodong took a few steps forward in succession, and his body emitted a strong momentum to cover the 4 people in front of him. Although Li Cheng and others were rascals, they were just ordinary people. They had never seen such a momentum. They were so scared that they almost peed their pants. They took out the money hidden in their pockets and threw it back into the suitcase. Then they ran out of the yard in embarrassment. Just now, Qin Haodong was angry at the shamelessness of these people, and for a moment he vented his long-suppressed emotions. When Li Cheng and the others ran out, he realized that after all, Qin Haodong was his grandpa's son. Had he gone too far? He couldn't help looking back at Li Qingshan and Zuolanji. Li Qingshan saw his mind and said, "Little Dong, you taught them a good lesson. I wanted to teach them a lesson for a long time. Today you helped Grandpa." Zuolanji said, "Yes, little Dong, you beat them too lightly. You should break the legs of these 2 beasts." What the old couple said was not a lie. These years they had been completely disappointed with these 2 unfilial sons, and they were annoyed by them. Now seeing Qin Haodong help them solve the future trouble at one time, they were too happy. Only Li Shulan sighed, but she didn't say anything. Zuolanji said again, "Little Dong, you can use the money to annoy those bastards. Take it back quickly. With the money you can buy a house in Jiangnan City. You will be more confident when you go on a blind date tomorrow." Li Qingshan also said, "Shulan, take the money back to little Dong. We have been ashamed of his parents because we couldn't help him get married and buy a house. We can't take his money." When Li Shulan was about to take the 3 suitcases with 1 million yuan, she was stopped by Qin Haodong. He said to the old couple, "Grandpa, Grandma, I earned this money to show my filial piety to you. Why do you return it to me? Do you still treat me as an outsider?" Li Qingshan said, "But, no buts." Qin Haodong immediately interrupted Li Qingshan, "Grandpa, I still have a lot of money, enough for my own use. You must accept the money." Li Qingshan wanted to say something, but Zuolanji said, "Forget it, old man. Since it's our grandson's filial piety to us, we'll keep it." Li Qingshan thought about it and nodded. He didn't object anymore. At this time, Qin Haodong's cell phone rang. He picked up the phone and glanced at it. It was Shi Kuai, the director of the Public Security Department. He walked to the side and pressed the answer button. "Director Shi, what's the matter?" Shi Kuai said, "Dr. Qin, thank you so much last time. You not only cured my illness but also cured Wan Er." Qin Haodong said, "You're welcome. I'm a doctor. It's my duty to save people." He knew that Shi Kuai called him not just to thank him. As expected, Shi Kuai said, "Dr. Qin, I called you today not only to express my gratitude, but also to ask you to do it again. I have a good comrade who was injured in the army. His leg bone was broken into 3 pieces. Later, although it was connected, he always hurt badly. He went to a lot of hospitals but it didn't work. Recently it became more and more serious and it began to affect his walking. He heard from me that Dr. Qin's medical skills were superb, so he wanted to ask you to have a look at him. Qin Haodong was not surprised about this. Shi Kuai's spine was definitely a difficult disease. He had been seeking medical treatment everywhere for many years, but it didn't work. Now that he was cured by Qin Haodong, it would bring a great advertising effect. There would definitely be people seeking medical treatment through his channel. He said, "Yes, but I don't have time now. I have to wait for a few days." Shi Kuai said, "Dr. Qin, can you treat him as soon as possible? It had better be today." Qin Haodong frowned. Although Shi Kuai was the director of the public security department, he was no different from ordinary patients in his eyes. As for the person who asked for medical treatment, it was just a leg pain. It was not a fatal disease. After so many years, it shouldn't be a big deal to wait for a few days. He said, "Is it that urgent?" Hearing Qin Haodong's displeasure, Shi Kuai hurriedly explained, "Dr. Qin, to tell you the truth, my comrade is Li Changji, the secretary of the Discipline Inspection Commission of Jiangnan City. He is very upright and effective. The mayor of Jiangnan City just retired a few days ago. Now the position of mayor is still vacant. The organization has listed Li Changji as a key subject of investigation. They will send someone to talk to him soon. You know, it's important to inspect the health of cadres. If he goes to the talk with a lame leg, it will inevitably affect the impression of the leaders. So they are in a hurry to ask you to treat him." It seemed that his explanation was not enough. After a pause he said, "Dr. Qin, I may not know others, but I know my comrade very well. He is very capable. Most importantly, he is honest and clean. If he can take over the position of mayor, it will be a good thing for all the citizens of Jiangnan City. So you must help him." "That's it." Qin Haodong's frowning brows relaxed, and his tone eased a lot. "Well, I just returned to my hometown in Wuxia County at noon. If it's really that urgent, let him come over and I'll treat him." Shi Kuai said happily, "That's great, Dr. Qin. Thank you so much. Wuxia County is not too far away. We'll go there now. It's estimated that we can arrive in Wuxia County in more than an hour. After the treatment, let's have a good drink." After hanging up the phone, Qin Haodong and Wang Rubing put the 3 suitcases into the safe of the clinic. After all, it was 3 million yuan. If it was seen by others, it would bring unnecessary trouble or even disaster to the Li family. As soon as they put the money in the safe, they suddenly heard a noise outside, shouting and the roar of the motor. "Li Qingshan, hurry up and come out. I'll tear down your house if you're late." The shouts of a loudspeaker rang through the whole old street. Qin Haodong went outside and saw Li Qingshan and Zuolanji standing at the door with the help of Li Shulan. Opposite the TCM clinic, there were about 100 or 200 people standing majestically. About half of these people were workers, and the other half were dressed in colorful gangster outfits. In front of them were 2 huge excavators. It seemed that they were here to demolish the house. In front of the excavator stood a short fat man with slicked back hair, and next to him was a skinny assistant with parted hair. Li Qingshan went to the door and shouted to the short fat man with slicked back hair, "Hong Tianbao, what are you doing here? I've said that I won't move unless you build a new clinic for me. You have to be reasonable when you demolish. First of all, you have to make sure that I can treat my neighbors." Hong Tianbao said, "Old Li, are you crazy because of poverty? We only care about demolishing and making money. What does it have to do with us whether you can treat people or not? Today I'm telling you for the last time. Sign the demolition agreement, and I'll give you 100,000 yuan immediately. If you say no again, I'll tear down your house immediately. You won't get a dime." The skinny assistant next to him whispered, "Didn't the boss say 1 million? Are you sure you're not mistaken?" Hong Tianbao smiled and said, 1 million was yesterday. Now only 100,000 yuan. If he doesn't agree, I'll tear down his house." "Got it, boss." The assistant naturally didn't know that today was a plan made by Hong Tianbao and Fu Haiken. They wanted to provoke Qin Haodong and then arrest him. As long as Qin Haodong was arrested and put in prison, he believed that Li Qingshan could immediately sign the demolition agreement. He would not pay more if he could save 1 million yuan. At this time, the neighbors of the old street heard the news and gathered around, standing behind Li Qingshan. Hearing that Hong Tianbao only gave 100,000 yuan for the demolition fee, everyone immediately angrily condemned. "This Hong Tianbao is so black-hearted. Such a big yard only gives 100,000 yuan. Isn't this robbery? Bastard, this is not a developer, it's a bandit. With so little money we can't move." Chapter 112. Li Qingshan said, I've already told you clearly that I don't want money. I just want you to build a new clinic for me. Fang Tianbao said, Old man, you're really old and muddle-headed. You dare to say anything. It seems that you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. I'll tear down your house today and see what you can do. Pete, how dare you? Li Qingshan was so angry by Hong Tianbao's rascal that his beard twitched. He said angrily, If you want to tear down my house, you have to step over my dead body today. The neighbors behind him also shouted, As long as we are here, don't even think about touching our house. Don't even think about touching Mr. Li. After that, the residents of the old street automatically moved forward and formed a circle, protecting Mr. Li in the middle. You won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Hong Tianbao sneered and waved his hand behind him. Teach these unruly people a lesson. After receiving the master's order, these gangsters immediately took out the steel pipes and iron bars that had been prepared and rushed to the villagers in front of them. Although the number of villagers was a little more than the gangsters, there were about 300 or 400 people. However, there were some women and the elderly and children left behind. They were unarmed. How could they be the opponents of these young and strong gangsters? As soon as the two sides touched, only 7 or 8 young and strong people were knocked down to the ground. Although the villagers were extremely angry at Hong Tianbao's robbing behavior, they were just ordinary people. They were usually well-behaved, and some of them had never fought with anyone in their entire lives. How could they have ever seen such a situation? They immediately scattered in all directions and hid in their own homes. Looking at the villagers who were beaten away, Hong Tianbao smiled proudly and raised his hand to point to Li Qingshan. Teach this ungrateful old man a lesson. As soon as his voice fell, 7 or 8 gangsters rushed to Li Qingshan with iron bars and steel pipes. The leading gangster with yellow hair raised the iron bar in his hand and smashed it to Li Qingshan's head. Li Shulan was just behind Li Qingshan. They didn't expect that these gangsters really dared to fight with the old man. It was too late to stop them. They saw the yellow-haired gangster's iron stick was about to hit Li Qingshan's head. At the critical moment, a big hand stretched out and grabbed the punk's wrist. Then with a crack, the punk's forearm was broken into 2. The yellow-haired gangster let out a heart-wrenching scream. But before he could see what was going on, he felt a sharp pain in his lower abdomen. His whole body seemed to be hit by a cannonball. He flew 7 or 8 meters away and fell heavily to the ground. Of course, it was Qin Haodong who rushed over. He held Li Qingshan's arm and said, Grandpa, are you okay? I'm fine. I'm not afraid of these bastards. If you have the ability, then beat me to death. Old Master Li Qingshan had been upright all his life. He looked at Hong Tianbao with fire in his eyes. Grandpa, don't worry. It's them who will die. They can't touch our house as long as I'm here. Qin Haodong handed the old man to Wang Rubing behind him and turned to look at Hong Tianbao. Hong Tianbao was secretly proud. It seemed that his plan had really succeeded. He shouted to the gangsters, What the hell are you standing there for? Are you waiting to eat *T? Get your weapons together and teach this guy a lesson. The gangsters had just been frightened by Qin Haodong's skills. Now they came to their senses. Relying on their numbers, they roared and rushed to Qin Haodong together. Qin Haodong would not show mercy to these gangsters who bullied the villagers. He rushed into the crowd and punched and kicked them. Immediately afterward, these hooligans let out miserable howls and were all sent flying. Each and every one of them had their arms and legs broken. They were seriously injured. Good. Well done. These bastards, let them bully us. Seeing Qin Haodong beat these gangsters, old Master Li Qingshan felt very happy. The nearby commoners who were watching from afar also cheered loudly. They already hated these hooligans to the core. Clap, clap, clap. Unexpectedly, Hong Tianbao also applauded. He walked a few steps to Qin Haodong and said with a sinister smile, Boy, you are good at martial arts. It's useless to only know a few moves. The most important thing to do is to have a brain. This is a society governed by law. You've hurt so many of my people. Just wait to eat in prison. As soon as he finished speaking, a siren sounded. 4 police cars quickly drove to this side. More than a dozen policemen jumped out of the cars and quickly surrounded Qin Haodong. The leader was the director of the police station, Zhang Meng. As Fu Haiken's #1 henchman, he was naturally in charge of this kind of thing. Zhang Meng was also an experienced man. He still had to do some superficial work. He pretended to ask, What's going on? Why are so many people injured? Fang Tianbao said, Director Zhang, I originally came with my staff to persuade the villagers to move today. Who knew that this guy rushed over and started beating people? He hurt more than a dozen of my people. Look at how badly they are injured. Their arms and legs are broken. They are all people with families and businesses. They have parents and children. You must uphold justice for my employees. Wang Rubing said angrily, nonsense. It's your men who beat us first and hurt more than a dozen of our villagers. How can you complain first? Li Shulan also cried, yes Hong Tianbao, why are you lying? Don't you have any shame? Qin Haodong didn't say a word. He had more than 500 years of experience. From the moment Zhang Meng appeared, he already knew that this was a trap set for him. It was obvious that Hong Tianbao and Zhang Meng were in cahoots. Sure enough, Zhang Meng said with a sullen face, you are all his family members. Of course you are on his side. Boss Hong, so many of your employees are injured. They are right here, but I don't see any injured villagers. It's very clear that Qin Haodong hurt people maliciously. Then he waved to the policeman behind him and said, take the murderer back to the police station. No, you can't be reasonable. Wang Rubing said and stretched out her hands in front of Qin Haodong. That's right. Whoever wants to arrest my grandson, arrest my old lady first. Zhuolanji said and stood in front of the policeman, trembling. Zhang Meng said, old lady, little girl, the fact is that Qin Haodong hurt more than a dozen people. Don't interfere with my normal law enforcement, or I will arrest you together. Arrest me together. I'm not afraid. As soon as Wang Rubing finished, she was pulled behind by Qin Haodong. Sister, you don't have to worry about this. I can handle it myself. He turned to Zhuolanji and said, Grandma, don't worry. I'll go to the police station to make things clear. I'll be back soon. I'll go on a blind date with you tomorrow. Are you sure you didn't lie to me? The old lady said with some doubts. Of course not. When have I ever lied to you since I was a child? Zhuolanji thought for a moment. Qin Haodong really didn't lie to her, so she didn't stop him. Zhang Meng and Hong Tianbao sneered secretly. They thought to themselves, if you want to come back for a blind date, you will stay in prison for 8 or 10 years. After comforting the old lady and Wang Rubing, Qin Haodong looked at Zhang Meng and said, Director Zhang, I advise you to think clearly when you do things. Otherwise, you can't afford the consequences if you do something wrong. Zhang Meng sneered and said, well, I'd like to see what I can't afford. He shouted to the 2 policemen next to him, cuff him up and take him away. Qin Haodong didn't say anything. Since Zhang Meng wanted to die, he would send him on his way. He turned to Wang Rubing and said, 2 friends will come to me later. When they come, just tell them the truth. Wang Rubing nodded. Although she didn't know who Qin Haodong's friends were, her brother had brought her too many surprises since he came back. She didn't hesitate to do what Qin Haodong said. At this time, the 2 policemen had handcuffed Qin Haodong. Zhang Meng waved his hand and took Qin Haodong to the police car. He didn't take Qin Haodong into the police station. Instead, he took him directly to the interrogation room of the criminal squad of the County Public Security Bureau, because Fu Haiken was waiting there. After Qin Haodong left, Hong Tianbao strode to Li Qingshan and said with a sneer, Old man, your grandson has been arrested. Let's see how you fight against me this time. Zhuolanji said, Little bastard, don't be proud. My Xiaodong is just going to make it clear. He will be back soon. Back? Hong Tianbao laughed arrogantly. After laughing enough, he said, To tell you the truth, your grandson won't be able to come back for 8 to 10 years. He hurt so many of my people. Even if he is sentenced to 1 year, he will stay in prison for more than 10 years. Besides, I have a lot of friends in prison. I will take special care of him. It's hard to say whether he can come out alive. Zhuolanji was stunned for a moment and then said, You're talking nonsense. My grandson told me that he will go on a blind date with me tomorrow. Fong Tianbao laughed and said, You're really an old fool. Can't you see that he's lying to you? No matter how powerful he is, can he be more powerful than a policeman's gun? So he can only be obedient. According to my original plan, as long as someone tries to stop me, I will arrest them together. I didn't expect that this guy has some brains. He even bluffed you with a few words. You got a big bargain. This. Zhuolanji wanted to say something to refute, but she couldn't find a reason for a moment. At this time she realized that maybe, as Hong Tianbao said, Qin Haodong couldn't come out after going in. Li Shulan was a teacher, so she knew something about the law. She had already believed most of Hong Tianbao's words. She said, Hong, what do you want? Don't you know what I want? I, Hong Tianbao, am a businessman, and businessmen want to make money. But now your family is blocking my way to make money. I have already taken over the renovation project of the old street. If you delay it for a day, I will have to pay for a day's loss. If your old man doesn't move, others won't move, so I can't make money. P. If you want to save that guy, I can show you the way. Sign the moving agreement immediately. Director Fu of the County Public Security Bureau is my good brother. As long as I tell him, he can release Qin Haodong. Otherwise, you can wait to see him in prison. P. Wang Rubing said angrily, is this all your plan? Fong Tianbao said with a smile, kind of. You are blocking my way to make money. If I don't find a way to deal with you, how can I live in Wufeng County? P. Li Shulan didn't say anything. She turned her head to look at Li Qingshan. Of course, this kind of thing could be decided by the old man. P. Li Qingshan was silent for a moment and finally said, give it to me. I will sign it. But you have to promise that my grandson will come back tonight. Fong Tianbao was overjoyed. It seemed that his method really worked. As long as Li Qingshan's family moved away, there would be no more obstacles to the relocation of the old street. He waved his hand, and the skinny assistant next to him took a moving agreement and sent it to Li Qingshan. Li Qingshan took the agreement and looked at it. Then he said angrily, you only give me 50,000 yuan for such a big yard, P. Chapter 113. Li Shulan glanced at the number on the contract and cried, didn't you just say 100,000? 1 million is yesterday's price, 100,000 is just now, and 50,000 is now. And it will only last for 5 minutes. If you don't sign the contract within 5 minutes, there will only be 30,000. Hong Tianbao said with a treacherous face, I'm telling you there's not much time. If Qin Haodong is sent to prison, you can't save him even if you give him 1 million. Don't hesitate. I've already found out that he's still a college student. He's likely to become a doctor in the future. Think about how much money a doctor can earn in a year. Don't ruin his life because of this small profit. It'll be too late for regrets. Li Shulan glanced at Hong Tianbao again and said, but what if you still don't let Dong go after we sign the agreement? Hong Tianbao said, I'm also a gangster. Credibility is the most important thing. Since I said it, I will do it. And now the situation is right here, you have no other choice. If you don't believe me, you cannot sign the agreement. In that case, Qin Haodong really has no hope at all. Li Qingshan didn't hesitate anymore. He directly took the pen, signed his name on the agreement, and then pressed his fingerprint. I hope you can keep your word and let my grandson out. Hong Tianbao took the agreement and looked at it. He put it in his pocket like a treasure and said with a sinister smile, don't worry, I won't let you down. Then he waved his hand and left with his people. The skinny assistant whispered in his ear, Boss, are we really going to help to let that guy out? Fong Tianbao scolded, are you fucking crazy? We've got the agreement. Why do we still do that stupid thing? And this guy is very important. He offended the director of the Public Security Bureau, Fu Haiken. It's impossible for him to get out. The skinny assistant quickly said with a flattering face, I know, boss. You're so smart. You only spent 50,000 to get the agreement. In the Li family, Li Qingshan and his wife returned to their room dejectedly. Li Shulan asked, Dad, what if they really don't let Dong go after signing the agreement? Li Qingshan sighed and said, Hong is right. Do we have any other choice? We can't just watch Lil Dong go to jail and do nothing. Wang Rubing said, Grandpa, I think we've been fooled by Hong. My brother is fine at all. Li Shulan said, children talk nonsense. As soon as Dong came back, he cleaned up by Wuxia and offended the director of the Public Security Bureau. Now he has hurt so many people. How could he be fine? Wang Rubing said, I don't know exactly. Anyway, I feel that if my brother says he's fine, then he's fine. While they were talking, 2 black Audi A6s stopped in front of the door. 4 or 5 people got out of the cars, led by 2 middle-aged men in their 50s. One was wearing a police uniform and had a straight figure, and the other was wearing a jacket. His right leg was a little limp when he walked, but it did not affect His Majesty at all. They were Shi Kuai, the head of the Public Security Department of Jiangnan Province, and Li Changji, the secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection of Jiangnan City. They found this place according to the location sent by Qin Haodong. Shi Kuai didn't see Qin Haodong after he entered the door. He asked politely, Is this Dr. Qin Haodong's home? Bai Rubing immediately saw that these 2 people were unusual. She greeted them according to Qin Haodong's instructions and said, Are you my brother's friends? Shi Kuai said, Yes, we are Dr. Qin's friends. Bai Rubing was happy and said, My brother was taken away by the police. What? Taken away by the police? Shi Kuai was surprised and asked, What the hell is going on? Bai Rubing was eloquent. She quickly told Shi Kuai what had just happened and what happened this afternoon. Then she said, "My brother asked me to tell you all this before he left. You're his friends. Can you save my brother?" Shi Kuai and Li Changji's faces were gloomy and scary. They didn't expect that such a lawless thing would happen in Wufeng County. As the head of the Public Security Department and the Secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection of Jiangnan City, it made them feel ashamed. Shi Kuai said, "Don't worry. Leave Dr. Qin to us. We will give you a satisfactory result." Then he said to Li Changji, "Old Li, let's go to the police station now. It's not enough for us to go alone." Li Changji said, "There are a lot of people involved in this matter. I will call the head of Wufeng County now and ask him and the Secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection to come here together. No matter who is involved, we must investigate it to the end." Shi Kuai thought about it and felt that what Li Changji said made sense. Their positions were too high, so it was not convenient for them to intervene directly. They left the Li family together. Li Changji called the head of the county, Zhao Yang, and the Secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection, Yu Shujiang, and asked them to gather in front of the clinic immediately. Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang were shocked when they received the call. They didn't know what happened. Li Changji had always been known for his fairness and iron fist. It was said that he was going to take over as the mayor of Jiangnan City. It was not a small thing that he called in person. No matter what they thought, they didn't dare to delay. After receiving the call, they immediately rushed to the door of Jishir Traditional Chinese Medicine Clinic. After getting out of the car, when they saw Shi Kuai and Li Changji standing side by side at the door, they couldn't help but feel shocked. These two great masters, one was a real director-level cadre, and the other was going to be promoted to the director level. It must be a big thing that could alarm these two people together. "Director Shi, Secretary Li, we're here. Please give us instructions." Shi Kuai looked at them but didn't say anything. Although he had a high rank, he was not their supervisor after all. It was best to let Li Changji deal with this matter. Li Changji said coldly, "Head of the county, Secretary Yu, let me ask you. Is Wufeng County still under the control of the Wuxia government? Is there any law?" Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang couldn't help but shiver. It was such a big hat. They didn't know what made Secretary Li so angry. "Secretary Li, if there is anything wrong with our work, please criticize and correct us," Zhao Yang said. A mine manager, because he gave birth to 3 daughters in a row, went to an old Chinese medicine doctor to ask for the secret of giving birth to a son. The doctor refused, so he asked his hooligans to smash the whole clinic. And the police didn't care about all this, just because his brother-in-law is the director of the Public Security Bureau. Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang looked at each other, and then they knew that it had something to do with Fu Haiken. At the same time, they cursed 18 generations of his ancestors in their hearts. How could he cause such a big trouble for them? That's not all. The real estate developer Hong Tianbao in your county wanted to develop this street. The Chinese medicine clinic was originally a commercial network on the street, and he asked the developer to build another Chinese medicine clinic. This condition is not high, is it? But the developer named Hong Tianbao not only didn't agree, but also hired some hooligans to do the forced demolition. As a result, the hooligans who beat people were ignored, and Dr. Qin, who upheld justice, was arrested by the police station. What kind of reason is this? Which law is enforced? Speaking of this, Li Changji's voice became stern. He pointed back to the Chinese medicine clinic and said, "In the end, the Chinese medicine clinic was forced to sign a demolition agreement for 50,000 yuan. Such a big yard, would you sell it for 50,000 yuan?" Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang were also experienced in officialdom. Hearing this, they immediately understood the key of the problem. Although the things Li Changji said were really very serious, the most important thing was Dr. Qin. Who on earth was this Dr. Qin? How could he invite these two great Buddhas? This made them very confused. Zhao Yang said, "Director Shi, Secretary Li, this kind of lawless thing happened in our Wufeng County. As a local official, I really have an unshirkable responsibility. Secretary Yu and I will go back and investigate it. We must find out the truth." Shi Kuai said, "Don't go back. Now Dr. Qin is still in the police station. Let's go and see what's going on." Zhao Yang thought to himself, as expected, the problem is still Dr. Qin. I really don't know who he is. But one thing is sure, Fu Haiken and Hong Tianbao will be in big trouble this time. After they finished talking, they turned around and were about to get in the car. At this time, someone behind them said, "Can I go with you?" Wang Rubing just felt that Shi Kuai and Li Changji were not ordinary people. After they went out, she had been secretly watching them in the house. Then she was surprised to find that the county magistrate Zhao Yang was very respectful to these two people. Could be seen that they were big shots. Although she didn't know how her brother made such friends, she cared about Qin Haodong. So when she heard that Shi Kuai was going to the police station, she ran out. Shi Kuai looked back and found it was Qin Haodong's sister. He directly agreed, "Get in the car." Zhang Meng sent Qin Haodong to the Municipal Public Security Bureau and then returned to the police station happily. In his view, no matter what, he had done a great service for Fu Haiken. Now there was a vacancy of the deputy director of the County Public Security Bureau. As long as he could satisfy Fu Haiken, he had already sat on the position of deputy director. Not only this, he had done such a big favor for Hong Tianbao. There must be a lot of benefits for him. At least he could get a suite. It was ridiculous that the toy boy even threatened him and said that he would regret it. How could he regret such a great thing that could make him promoted and rich? When he was daydreaming, a young policeman rushed in and said breathlessly, "Director, there are a few people downstairs and they want to see you." Zhang Meng said impatiently, "Don't panic. Don't you see it's time to get off work? Tell them to come tomorrow if they have something to do." The young policeman said, "Director, one of them is Director Shi of the Public Security Department, the other is Magistrate Zhao of our county, and I don't know the other two. No matter who they are, tell them to get out. Don't you know it's time to get off work?" Zhang Meng suddenly realized something and jumped up from the chair. He asked nervously, "Who are you talking about? Who are they?" "Director Shi, Magistrate Zhao, and I don't know the other two, but they seem to be big leaders." Before the young policeman finished speaking, Zhang Meng ran to the door in a hurry. At this time, his heart was already in his throat. So many big leaders came to his small police station. Did it have something to do with that guy? But then he thought it was unlikely. He knew the background of the traditional Chinese medicine clinic very well. How could he know the county magistrate and the director of the public security department? Chapter 114. Hello leaders. Welcome to our police station for guidance. Zhang Meng smiled like a dog's tail flower and saluted to Shi Kuai and the other three people one by one. "Director Zhang is so good at work. I dare not guide you." Shi Kuai said in a cold voice, "You arrested Dr. Qin. Give me a reason." "Dr. Qin?" Zhang Meng heard the dissatisfaction in Shi Kuai's tone. He was so nervous that he realized that Dr. Qin was Qin Haodong. He tried to explain, "Director, when we went out, we found that Dr. Qin injured more than a dozen people. Those people were all seriously injured. That's why I ordered to arrest him." Shi Kuai said in a cold voice, "You arrested him for beating people? Have you ever investigated whether Dr. Qin was acting in self-defense? And those gangsters injured so many people. As the people's police, shouldn't you arrest any of them?" The cold sweat on Zhang Meng's forehead suddenly flowed down. He said in a trembling voice, "I'm sorry, Director. I'm incompetent and thoughtless. I'll correct myself in the future." At this time, Li Changji said in a low voice, "Is it just a problem of incompetent? Is there any other reason?" Zhang Meng was so scared that he almost wet his pants. Everyone in Jiangnan City knew that Li Changji was the iron-fisted secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection. Anyone who was targeted by this secretary would be in big trouble. The most important thing was that he was really dirty. He hesitated for a long time and couldn't say a complete sentence. Shi Kuai said, "Don't talk nonsense. Let Dr. Qin out." Zhang Meng said with a bitter face, "Director Shi, Dr. Qin is not in our police station. He is now in the county crime squad." Li Changji asked with a cold face, "Didn't you arrest him? Why did you send him to the crime squad? Is this in line with the procedure?" Zhang Meng wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said nervously, "Secretary Li, I just followed the director's order. The deputy director asked me to send him there, so I did." Shi Kuai said, "Stop talking nonsense. Take us to the crime squad of the County Public Security Bureau." "All right. I'm going now. Zhang Meng hurriedly got in his car and led the way. At this time he thought of Qin Haodong's warning. Now he really regretted it. He regretted provoking such a big shot. He really didn't know whether he could keep his hat after the matter was settled. However, it was too late to regret it now. He could only hope that Fu Haiken could rely on his experience and connections to get through this. If Fu Haiken was fine, then he would naturally be fine. In the criminal police unit of Wufeng County, Qin Haodong was handcuffed to an iron stool, with two young policemen in their 20s guarding him. At this moment, the large metal door of the interrogation room opened, and a middle-aged man in his 50s walked in. He was red and reeked of alcohol. It was obvious that he had just left the table. Fu Haiken heard that he had caught Qin Haodong, so he came to interrogate him personally. The most important thing he wanted to figure out was how Bai Wenjie went crazy. However, there were some private things involved in this matter. Naturally, he didn't want others to hear it. First, he asked someone to turn off the surveillance of the interrogation room, and then he waved to the two young policemen and let them all go out. He glanced at Qin Haodong. The young man was not nervous at all. He looked relaxed, just like a guest here. He asked, "Are you Qin Haodong, the grandson of Old Li?" Qin Haodong didn't answer his question. Instead, he looked up and asked, "Are you the director of the County Public Security Bureau, Bai Wenjie's brother-in-law?" Fu Haiken sneered and said, "It seems that you know a lot. In Wufeng County, if you offend me, you will certainly not have a good end. Be sensible and tell me what I ask you. If you make me happy, I can let you stay in prison for a few years less." Qin Haodong smiled slightly and still said to himself, "In fact, you shouldn't have provoked me. After this incident, you should have kept an eye on your brother-in-law and behaved honestly. Maybe you can still be the director for a few more years. But now that you have caught me here, it is destined that the director's position has come to an end. Boy, are you out of your mind?" Fu Haiken felt that he was going crazy. He pointed at Qin Haodong and said angrily, "Tell me honestly, what did you do to Bai Wenjie? How did you make him crazy?" Qin Haodong said, "He is fine. He is not crazy at all." "Nonsense. If he is not crazy, how can he tell what he has done, and you recorded it into a video and posted it on the internet?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "That's because he found his conscience after my persuasion and education. He finally realized how ugly his behavior was, so he tried to turn himself in." "Bullshit. Do you think I am a child?" Fu Haiken was furious. He felt that Qin Haodong was teasing him. He took a baton from the wall and said, "Boy, it seems that you are not going to tell the truth if I don't give you some pain." After that, he swung the baton in his hand and smashed it at Qin Haodong's head. As the head of the Public Security Department, Shi Kuai had heard some of the dark side of the grassroots. He was afraid that Qin Haodong would be wronged in the County Public Security Bureau, so he hurried all the way. After arriving at the criminal squad of the County Public Security Bureau, he immediately rushed to the interrogation room with his men, opened the door and rushed in. After entering the door, everyone was a little dumbfounded, especially Zhang Meng. His eyes almost popped out of his eye sockets. It was not his fault. The scene in front of him was really beyond people's imagination. They saw Qin Haodong sitting on the chair behind the desk with his legs on the table, slowly drinking tea. Opposite him, Fu Haiken, the head of the County Public Security Bureau, was sitting on the big iron chair, saying something with tears and snot. Wang Rubing immediately rushed over and grabbed Qin Haodong's arm. She asked with concern, "Brother, are you okay? Do I look like I'm okay?" Qin Haodong said as he stood up and put the teacup on the table. He turned to Shi Kuai and said, "Director Shi, you are a little later than I expected." "I'm sorry, Dr. Qin. We thought you were at the police station, so we went there first and delayed a little time." After that, Shi Kuai introduced Li Changji and others behind him to Qin Haodong one by one. After the greetings, Qin Haodong said to Li Changji, "Secretary Li, you came just in time. After my persuasion and education, Director Fu has realized his mistakes. Now he is looking for someone to confess and turn himself in." He turned to Fu Haiken and said, "Secretary Li is here. Confess all the dirty things you have done from the beginning to the end." To everyone's surprise, Fu Haiken knelt down in front of Li Changji, held his leg and began to confess, "I'm sorry, Secretary Li. I'm not a human. I have made mistakes. I want to confess and turn myself in." Later, he confessed all what he had done over the years, such as keeping 3 mistresses outside, letting his brother-in-law Bai Wenjie earn money for him outside, taking bribes from the developer Hong Tianbao in private, and acting as a guarantor for these people. Guarantor. All in all the people present were shocked, especially Zhang Meng, who was almost scared out of his wits. He had participated in many of the illegal things Fu Haiken said. Now that Fu Haiken had fallen, he would not be any better. Li Changji's face was extremely gloomy. He did not expect that as the director of the County Public Security Bureau, Fu Haiken should do so many illegal things. He turned to Yu Shujiang and said, "Secretary Yu, this case is handed over to the County Commission for Discipline Inspection. You must investigate it strictly according to the law. No matter who is involved, you must investigate it to the end." Report to me face to face when you have the result. Yes. Yu Shujiang answered and asked the staff of the Commission for Discipline Inspection who had just arrived to take Fu Haiken and Zhang Meng away. At the same time, he also arranged other police officers to arrest the developer involved in the case, Hong Tianbao. Hong Tianbao only spent 50,000 yuan to sign the moving agreement with Li Qingshan. He was overjoyed. He had just prepared a table of food and wine at home to celebrate. However, before he could drink the wine, he was taken away by the police who had rushed over. Under the supervision of Li Changji, the staff of the County Commission for Discipline Inspection worked at a high speed. In fact, this case was very easy to handle. The two main members, Fu Haiken and Bai Wenjie, confessed to what they had done and said everything they were asked. The staff of the Commission for Discipline Inspection were a little confused. They had never seen such honest criminals in all these years. Not only did the two of them clearly state what they had done, but they also revealed the location of the evidence and the location of the account books. If the staff did not understand, they would explain patiently and carefully, including their motives and details of the crime. It was a model of confession. Because of this, Zhang Meng and Hong Tianbao could not deny it even if they wanted to. Soon, the four people were taken to the detention center, waiting for the court to pronounce the sentence. In the VIP room of the Ri Lixiang Hotel in Wufeng County, Qin Haodong, Shi Kuahai and Li Changji sat together. Li Changji looked Qin Haodong up and down. If it were someone else sitting with the head of the Public Security Bureau and the secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection, he would inevitably be submissive and nervous. However, the young man in front of him was calm and didn't care about their identities at all. His bearing made them secretly admire him. Dr. Qin, I have something to ask you. I don't know if it's okay. Secretary Li, just say it. Qin Haodong said lightly. I just received a call from my subordinates, saying that what Fu Haiken said is true, and the evidence has been found, which is completely consistent with other people's confessions. I want to ask, how did you make him confess voluntarily? This was indeed a mystery in Li Changji's heart. He had been working for the Commission for Discipline Inspection for so many years, and he knew how stubborn those corrupt people were. They would never confess until the last moment. But Fu Haiken completely subverted his understanding. He confessed all the facts of his crime without any falsehood. Although he didn't know the specific reason, he guessed it must have something to do with the young man in front of him, so he asked. Qin Haodong smiled and said, in fact, it's very simple. I told him the principles of being a man, and he realized his own mistakes, crying and shouting to turn himself in. Li Changji naturally did not believe this. If anti-corruption was so easy, there would be no corrupt people in Wuxia. But the fact was in front of him, and he could not find any reason to refute. Shi Kuahai said, Old Li, I told you that Dr. Qin is a master, and we ordinary people can't see through the actions of a master. The case has come to an end, so let's not talk about it. Let's talk about the medical treatment first. Chapter 115. That's not a problem. Qin Haodong asked Li Changji to stretch out his left hand and began to feel his pulse. 2 minutes later, he withdrew his right hand. Shi Kuahai asked, How is it, Dr. Qin? Can old Li's disease be cured? Qin Haodong said, No problem. It's not a serious disease. It can be cured now. Now, right here? Li Changji couldn't believe it. He had seen many famous doctors, but none of them could cure his leg. But this young man said that he could be cured here. If Qin Haodong hadn't cured Shi Kuahai's disease, he would have thought that he had met a swindler. Here is fine. It'll only take a few minutes, Qin Haodong said. He asked Li Changji to put his leg on the opposite stool and then roll up his trousers. He took out the needle bag from his pocket and began to treat the disease with acupuncture. 5 minutes later, he took back the silver needles and said, Well, try to walk. That's it? Li Changji couldn't believe it. He slowly stood up from the chair and began to try to walk. Originally, his injured leg would hurt badly as soon as it touched the ground. But this time, after walking a few steps, he didn't feel any pain at all. He tried to jump a few more times. He didn't feel any pain. On the contrary, he was much stronger than before. A magic doctor. You're really a magic doctor. After being happy, Li Changji asked, Dr. Qin, what's wrong with my leg? Why can't the doctors in those big hospitals do anything about it, but you can easily cure it here? Qin Haodong said, After your leg was fractured, although the broken bones were connected, the injured nerves and meridians didn't recover. In addition, you haven't had a good rest these years, so you're getting more and more tired. Those doctors of Western medicine don't even know what meridians are, so they can't find the cause. The acupuncture I just performed is called rejuvenating acupuncture. Its biggest effect is to repair the damaged tissues and meridians. Now the meridians and nerves in your leg have recovered, so it naturally doesn't hurt anymore. A magic doctor. You're really a magic doctor. I'm convinced. Li Changji sighed and said, Dr. Qin, how about the consultation fee? Just tell me how much you need. Qin Haodong looked at Li Changji, who was dressed in plain clothes. It seemed that he was not a rich man. Qin Haodong said, forget about the medical fee. You just need to promise me one thing. Hearing his words, Li Changji's expression changed and he said, Dr. Qin, I never do things that violate my principles, so you'd better charge me. No matter how much it is, just forget about the request. Qin Haodong smiled slightly. Shi Kuai said that Li Changji was an honest and upright official. He didn't believe it at first, but now it seemed that it was true. He said, Secretary Li, I haven't made my request yet. Don't be in a hurry to refuse. Actually, it's not a big deal. My sister, the young lady you just met, passed the civil service exam and entered the Jiangnan Health Bureau. She will be considered a part of the government in the future. Firstly, I'm not asking you to give her a promotion, and secondly, I'm not asking you to give her special treatment. I just want you to give her a chance to prove herself. After listening to his words, Li Changji's expression relaxed and he said, I can promise you this. A talented person will not be buried, but you still have to pay the consultation fee. Qin Haodong said with a smile, well, 100 yuan it is. He knew that Li Changji would never be at ease if he didn't receive the consultation fee, so he symbolically took 100 yuan. Then the three of them had a pleasant meal. After that, Li Changji and Shi Kuai returned to Jiangnan City, and Qin Haodong returned to the traditional Chinese medicine clinic. It was almost midnight when he walked into the house. The room was dark. It seemed that Li Qingshan and his wife had fallen asleep. When he left the crime squad, he asked Wang Rubing to come back and report that he was safe, so that his family would not worry about his safety. In order not to disturb his grandparents' sleep, he went back to his room quietly. After entering the door, he turned on the light with a snap. When the light was on, Qin Haodong was surprised to find that there was a woman lying on his bed. She was wearing pink suspender pajamas, revealing sexy collarbone and smooth shoulders. The two mountains on her chest were very large and the gully in the middle was bottomless. The hem of the pajamas was very short, only covering the key parts. The straight and slender thighs were extremely attractive under the light. The woman had fallen asleep on the bed, but she woke up immediately after the light was on. She sat up on the bed and lifted her hair in front of her face. Qin Haodong was surprised to find that it was his sister, Wang Rubing. Seeing that Qin Haodong was staring at her, Wang Rubing showed a little shyness on her face and cried, Little boy, what are you looking at? I say, Bean Sprout, when did you develop so well? Qin Haodong said, and what are you doing in my room at night? Wang Rubing used to be thin, far less plump and sexy than she was now, so Qin Haodong always jokingly called her Bean Sprout. As the saying goes, a girl changes 18 times between childhood and womanhood. He didn't expect that her figure had changed so much after just over a year. Wang Rubing got out of bed and came to Qin Haodong. She said discontentedly, Little boy, who are you calling Bean Sprout? Do you have a conscience? The reason why I'm ugly is that you drank all my milk. Qin Haodong was speechless for a moment. They used to quarrel often. Wang Rubing often said such words, but at that time she was thin, so it didn't matter. At this time, looking at the pair of bulging breasts, Qin Haodong suddenly felt that this sentence was too ambiguous. Wang Rubing didn't notice anything wrong and continued to say, It's because my mother is biased and gives all her milk to you that I can't grow taller. My dream was to be a model, but it's all because of you. At that time, it was really not easy for Zhao Lanxiang to raise 2 children at a time, so Zhao Lanxiang's growth was a little slower than her peers when she was a child. But now she was 1.65 meters tall. Although she was still a little short of a professional model, she was not short among her peers. Well, it's my fault. I'll buy you a car of Trensu tomorrow, okay? Qin Haodong said with a smile, Sister, it's so late. What are you doing in my room? Do you think I want to come? My mother was afraid that you would drink too much, so she asked me to prepare honey water and put it here. You don't know what's good for you. Feeling the concern of his family, Qin Haodong felt warm and said, I know what's good for me. My sister is the best to me. In the future, when you go to Jiangnan City, I'll cover for you if anything happens. That's more like it. Wang Rubing was very satisfied with his attitude and asked, Then tell me first, how did you make so much money? Are you a sugar daddy? Sugar daddy? Qin Haodong was speechless. Was he so qualified to be a gigolo? He said, how is that possible? My value is too high. The rich woman who can support me hasn't made enough money yet. Tell me, how did you make so much money? Qin Haodong said, I'm a doctor. That money is earned by treating others. Come on, I've treated people all my life and I haven't made so much money. Wang Rubing didn't believe it. Believe it or not, go back to your room. I'm going to bed. Who cares about you? The honey water is on the table. Wang Rubing left after saying that. Qin Haodong drank up the honey water on the table and suddenly felt much better. Then he went to bed and fell asleep. He was really tired today. The next morning he was sleeping soundly, but he was directly pulled out of bed by Zhuolanji. Grandma, what's up? He asked. Zhuolanji said, get ready. We're going out for a blind date today. Qin Haodong remembered that there was a blind date. He said helplessly, Grandma, can we not go? Of course not. I've already made an appointment with the girl. But you don't have to go so early, do you? Qin Haodong said. What time is it? Get up and have breakfast. Then get ready. We're the men, so we can't be late. There's no harm in going early. Looking at the old lady's serious expression, Qin Haodong knew that he couldn't avoid it. He had to deal with it. He got up, had breakfast, and followed Zhuolanji out of the house. Grandma, how many are you going to let me meet? Qin Haodong asked. Zhuolanji said with a smile, Child, you must be careful about blind dates. You can't meet too many people in a day. I've arranged 3 for you today. In the morning you'll meet Grandma Wang, at noon you'll meet Grandma Li, and in the afternoon you'll meet Grandma Zhang. Qin Haodong was speechless. It seemed that the old lady had arranged more blind dates than today. There might be more in the next few days. Soon they came to the door of a cafe to meet the blind date introduced by Grandma Wang. Qin Haodong had seen the girl's photo. Although it had been beautified, she was generally good-looking and could barely reach 60 points. Zhuolanji asked Qin Haodong to go in and wait. She sat directly on the bench opposite the cafe. Qin Haodong was speechless as he looked at his grandma waiting outside the door. It seemed that he couldn't leave the cafe without the blind date. The appointed time was 9 o'clock in the morning, but 10 minutes had passed, and there was still no sign of the girl. Qin Haodong was annoyed waiting for a while. At this time his cell phone rang. He took a look and found it was a strange number. He thought it was the girl. After pressing the answer button he found it was a man. Is this Qin Haodong, Mr. Qin? The tone of the man was very polite. Yes, who are you? Qin Haodong asked. Mr. Qin may not know me. I'm Su Jingkai from Jiangnan First Grade Construction Company. Qin Haodong had heard of Jiangnan First Grade Construction Company. There were 2 most famous construction companies in Wufeng County. One was Tianbao Construction Company of Hong Tianbao, and the other was Jiangnan First Grade Construction Company. The reason why Tianbao Construction Company was famous was that Hong Tianbao took things by force and no one dared to provoke him. In contrast, Jiangnan First Grade Construction Company was a very formal construction company, which made its reputation by the excellent quality of construction. Qin Haodong asked, Boss Su, what can I do for you? Su Jingkai said respectfully, Mr. Qin, after Hong Tianbao was arrested, the reconstruction of the old street was handed over to our Jiangnan First Grade Construction Company. I want to talk to you about the relocation. About the relocation. Qin Haodong thought that these businessmen acted so fast. Hong Tianbao had just been arrested yesterday, and there was already a new move today. Anyway, he was bored now, so he directly sent his address. It had to be said that Su Jingkai's action was really fast. In less than 5 minutes, a black Mercedes-Benz car stopped in front of the cafe. A middle-aged man in his 40s walked into the cafe. Hello, Mr. Qin. After seeing Qin Haodong, Su Jingkai immediately greeted him warmly and reached out his right hand. Qin Haodong shook hands with him and said, Mr. Su, what do you want to talk to me about? Chapter 116. Qin Haodong smiled slightly. It seemed that Su Jingkai regarded his family as a nail-biter. He said, I only have 2 requirements for the relocation. First, build a Chinese medicine clinic of the same size for my grandfather, and we will move immediately after it is built. Second, give the neighbors a fair and reasonable demolition price. That's it. Is there no other requirement? Su Jingkai's face showed an imperceptible surprise. He had inquired about it. This young man seemed to be simple, but in fact he had a strong background. Last night he put Hong Tianbao in prison, and at the same time he brought down Fu Haiken, the director of the County Public Security Bureau. Then he brought the director of the police station Zhang Meng and Bai Wenjie to prison. As a local developer of Wufeng County, he knew that if he wanted to complete the reconstruction project of the old street, he must first do the work of the Chinese medicine clinic, and to move the clinic he must get the consent of this unfathomable young man. In order to reconstruct the old street, he had been prepared for Qin Haodong to make an exorbitant demand before he came. He did not expect that Qin Haodong only made these two simple and reasonable requirements. Qin Haodong said with a smile, "It's not that simple. Our family is not a nail-biter, and we have never made any unreasonable requirements." Su Jingkai said readily, "Well, I agree to both of Mr. Qin's requirements. Not only will I build a modern Chinese medicine clinic for Mr. Li, but I will also pay you the demolition fee according to the national standard. I will also give you a 4-bedroom, 2-hall apartment of Jiangnan first grade, with a living area of 160 square meters." He had heard that Qin Haodong easily brought the director of the Public Security Bureau and the secretary of the Municipal Commission for Discipline Inspection. It was certainly not bad to have a good relationship with such a powerful young man. Moreover, Qin Haodong's requirements were too low. Even if he gave him a house, it would be much lower than he expected. Qin Haodong thought about it. He had planned to buy a house for his aunt's family this time. Now someone took the initiative to send it to him, which saved him the trouble of buying a house. "Well, I'll take the house." Qin Haodong said again, "Mr. Su, is it profitable to reconstruct the old street in this way?" Su Jingkai said, "Of course it's profitable, and it's very profitable. I'm a businessman, not a philanthropist. I won't do a losing business." "Then I don't understand. Since developing the old street in this way can bring huge profits, why didn't Hong Tianbao do it?" Su Jingkai smiled and said, "It's actually very simple. First of all, Sammo Hung is too greedy. He always wants to earn more, so he deducted everyone's salary, relocation expenses. Secondly, Sammo Hung's real estate company was a semi-illegal enterprise, and he kept some idle people in the society. These people had to spend a large sum of money every year, and it was naturally counted as part of the company's profits. At the same time, he also gave Fu Haiken and the others some benefits. In comparison, his costs were much higher than a legal enterprise like mine. Of course, Hong Tianbao had his own advantages in doing this. If Mr. Qin hadn't sent him to prison this time, the old street would have been in turmoil. The juicy meat of Qian Qian, it won't even reach my bowl." Qin Haodong nodded and said, "Oh, I understand." "Mr. Qin, can we sign the agreement?" Su Jingkai asked. Although the legal representative of the clinic was Li Qingshan, he cared more about Qin Haodong's opinion. "Prepare the agreement. I'll ask Grandpa now." Qin Haodong dialed Li Qingshan's number and soon got a positive answer. Then he directly signed the relocation agreement with Su Jingkai. "Mr. Qin, this is a fully renovated 4-bedroom and 2-hall apartment in Jiangnan first grade. You don't need to bring anything. You can move in with your luggage," Su Jingkai said as he handed a bunch of door keys to Qin Haodong's hand. "I'll arrange someone to handle the housing procedures tomorrow and then send them to Mr. Qin." Su Jingkai did things without delay. After the agreement, he got up and left the coffee shop directly. Not long after he left, the two women walked up to Qin Haodong and sat down without hesitation. Qin Haodong looked at the two women. The younger one was about 20 years old. Although she was not as beautiful as in the photos, she was somewhat similar. It seemed that they were the blind dates he had been waiting for. The middle-aged woman next to her was about 50 years old. She should be the girl's mother. The young woman was wearing a black one-piece dress and black one-piece stockings. Her makeup was so thick that people couldn't see her original appearance, but her arrogance couldn't be hidden. She raised her chin and looked at Qin Haodong with disdain flashing in her eyes. She asked arrogantly, "Are you Qin Haodong?" It was Qin Haodong's first blind date. This feeling was a little strange. He said with a smile, "I am." "Are you Zhang Meili?" The woman didn't answer his question. Her expression was very stiff. She said coldly, "If you want to have a blind date with me, you have to answer a few questions of mine first." "Well, ask away." Qin Haodong had a smile on his face and his attitude was still good. Although the woman looked very rude, after all, she was introduced by his grandma's old sister. He had to save her some face. "Have you bought a house in Jiangnan City?" Qin Haodong thought about it. His villa was given by Lin Ziyuan, so it couldn't be regarded as his own purchase. So he told the truth, "No." Zhang Meili frowned slightly. Obviously, she was not satisfied with his answer. She asked again, have you bought a car? It doesn't count if it's less than 300,000 yuan. Qin Haodong now had 3 cars, Lamborghini Centenario, Porsche 911 and the Honda, but he didn't buy any of them. He still shook his head and said, no. The disappointment on Zhang Meili's face became more intense, but she still asked, do you have a 7-digit deposit in the bank? Qin Haodong shook his head again. He did have a deposit in the bank, but it was 8 digits. He really didn't have a 7-digit deposit. How long have you been working? Why don't you have anything? Zhang Meili obviously lost her patience and didn't hide her dissatisfaction at all. Qin Haodong thought that Grandma Wang was too careless in her matchmaking work. She didn't even explain his situation clearly. He explained, oh, I'm studying at Jiangnan Medical University. There's still 1 year left before I graduate. I haven't worked yet. Hearing that he was a student at a medical university, the woman's face relaxed a little. She thought that after graduation she would have a good income as a doctor. She asked again, what's your major? Chinese medicine. Qin Haodong said. What? You actually studied Chinese medicine at the medical university last time. Is there something wrong with your head? What can you do after graduating from Chinese medicine? How much money can you make? What will you live on in the future? Qin Haodong's answer completely angered Zhang Meili. A series of questions kept popping out of her mouth. She looked as if she had been greatly hurt. The middle-aged woman who had been silent was also angry. She shouted at Qin Haodong with dissatisfaction, why did you come here when you don't have anything? Do you think you deserve our beauty? Qin Haodong didn't care about the result of this kind of blind date. He said with a smile, beauty? I really don't see anything except for the word beauty in the name. You, the middle-aged woman glared at Qin Haodong and said, what kind of person are you? You deserve to be single for the rest of your life. After that, she took the young woman and left without looking back. So Qin Haodong's first blind date was a failure. However, Qin Haodong's face showed a proud smile. He couldn't wait to end the other 2 blind dates as soon as possible. Soon it was time to go on a blind date with the second girl. This girl named Huang Xiaowan had a much better sense of time than Zhang Meili. Her appearance was also above average, but she still looked arrogant. Huang Xiaowan looked at Qin Haodong and said, you look good. At least you won't lose face if I go out. We can try to date each other. Qin Haodong was slightly surprised that she agreed so easily. He asked, don't you want to ask me if I have a house, a car, or savings? I have a house, a car, and a savings. There's no need to ask you. The girl said, but I also have my conditions. You must promise us before we can be together. Seeing that Huang Xiaowan didn't want a house, a car, or savings, Qin Haodong asked with interest, then tell me what are your conditions? To tell you the truth, I'm pregnant. After we get married, whether I give birth to a boy or a girl, you have to treat him like your own child. You can't beat him, scold him, or be fierce to him. Qin Haodong was slightly stunned at first. He didn't expect that this woman would come on a blind date when she was pregnant. Seeing that she was still chattering, he said directly, you mean, you want me to treat him like an ancestor? That's basically what I mean. Huang Xiaowan said, I know this kind of thing may not be easy for you men to accept, but I can give you money and you can spend it as you like. Qin Haodong was speechless. What a weirdo. He said, I can't accept this. You'd better ask someone else. Huang Xiaowan didn't seem to give up. She said, why can't you accept it? It's a good thing. You have a beautiful wife and a child. You can be a father directly after you get married. Qin Haodong said, let's not talk about whether my wife is beautiful or not. Grandpa taught me that I can't get things without sewing. I'd better be self-reliant when it comes to things like getting married and having children. You really don't know what's good for you. Huang Xiaowan glared at Qin Haodong fiercely and then left the coffee shop angrily. Qin Haodong touched his forehead. He didn't expect to meet such 2 weird women on his first blind date. Fortunately, there was only one left. If he persisted, it would be over. He would take Lin Momo home tomorrow no matter what. After waiting for about an hour, the third blind date came slowly. According to the information given by Grandma, this girl was called Lu Fangfang. She was much prettier than the previous 2. She had short hair that reached her ears and looked very refreshing. She was tall and slender, about 1.7 meters tall. Moreover, she had a curvaceous figure. Her figure could be considered rather voluptuous. Lu Fangfang was also more polite. When she saw Qin Haodong, she first smiled and then said politely, hello, my name is Lu Fangfang. Are you Qin Haodong? Seeing such a beautiful and polite girl, Qin Haodong felt a little better. Finally he had met a normal blind date. He nodded and said, "I'm Qin Haodong. I'm a senior at Jiangnan Medical University. I'm majoring in traditional Chinese medicine. I don't have a car or a house and I don't have a 7-figure deposit in the bank." Seeing that this was the last one, Qin Haodong was eager to complete the task of the blind date. In order to save time, he told her all his conditions before the girl asked. He hoped that Lu Fangfang could be like Zhang Meili, who would just leave so that he could go home. Unexpectedly, Lu Fangfang didn't react much. She just smiled and said softly, "Not bad, not bad." Chapter 117. You're really good. Although you don't have a house or a car now, you can earn money in the future. You're so handsome. It's easy to make money. Qin Haodong felt a little awkward when he heard Lu Fangfang's words, but he couldn't find anything wrong. However, he didn't intend to go on this blind date at all. Since she was satisfied with him, he could only pick on her faults. He asked, "Do you have any shortcomings?" The girl blushed and said, "I do have one, but I don't know if you can accept it." Seeing that Lu Fangfang was so direct, Qin Haodong asked, "What is it? Tell me." Lu Fangfang blushed even more and said in a low voice, "It's nothing. I just don't like men." What did you say?" Qin Haodong couldn't believe his ears. "Do you mind if I say I don't like men?" Lu Fangfang said. "Yes, I do mind." Although Qin Haodong didn't have much hope for this blind date, he still said angrily, "Why did you come if you don't like men? Do you think I want to come? I have no choice. My mother forced me to get married, but I can't tell her that I don't like men at all. She arranged a blind date for me, so I had to come. In that case, please go back. There's no need for us to talk anymore." Qin Haodong stood up and was about to leave. He had been sitting here for half a day, and now he had finished the task of the blind date. Finally he could tell his grandmother. "Wait a minute, don't rush." Lu Fangfang looked at Qin Haodong eagerly and said, "Actually, we can get married." "What did you say?" Qin Haodong began to doubt his hearing for the second time. This woman just said that she didn't like men. Why did she suddenly say that she wanted to get married? "If I don't find someone to marry, my secret will be known sooner or later, and my mother will keep arranging blind dates for me. I think you're a good person. Why don't we be together?" Before Qin Haodong said anything, Lu Fangfang immediately said, "Don't be in a hurry to refuse. If you marry me, I can help you find a lot of women. I work in a beauty salon and I know a lot of rich women. They like fresh meat like you. You can play with different women every day and you can make money. Is there a better marriage than ours?" "What the hell? Can you be any more ridiculous?" Qin Haodong finally understood what Lu Fangfang meant when she said he had good capital. It turned out that this woman wanted to raise him like a duck the moment they met. He could no longer control his emotions. He took out his cell phone from his pocket and dialed a series of numbers. "Hello, is this the mental hospital? There's a 2 here. You're driving a woman crazy. Hurry up and take her away." After a series of blind dates, Qin Haodong was greatly stimulated. He grabbed the cold coffee on the table and gulped it down, which made his wounded heart feel better. He was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he took out his mobile phone and dialed Lin Momo's number. After telling her about his tragic experience, he said eagerly, "Momo, when will you come? Hurry up and save me, otherwise Grandma will force me to go on a blind date tomorrow. I'll really go crazy then." On the other side of the phone, Lin Momo was shaking with laughter. "You've seen 3 girlfriends in one day. Isn't that what you've been dreaming of?" Qin Haodong said with annoyance, "Stop laughing. Be careful or I'll spank you when we get back." "I'll stop laughing. I'm already in Wufeng County, but I have an important business to discuss in the afternoon. I'll be free in the evening." "So soon? That's great. Is Tang Tang here? I miss her after one day without seeing her." What Qin Haodong said was true. He felt empty in his heart after one day without seeing the little fellow, as if something important was missing. "Tang Tang came with me. Last night she complained that she missed you. She kept holding the jade you gave her. She said that she would think of you when she held the gift." Thinking of his daughter's lovely appearance, Qin Haodong felt warm in his heart. He said again, "Did you miss me?" Lin Momo hesitated for a moment and finally said yes to the phone. After accepting Qin Haodong from the bottom of her heart, her cold appearance had begun to fade. Qin Haodong was very happy. It was commendable that Lin Momo, who was cold, could express her feelings in this way. They chatted for a while and he asked, "Where's my daughter?" Why didn't she talk to me? Lin Momo said, I have an important negotiation right away. Tang Tang went out with Ms. An, oh. Well, call me when you're done. Qin Haodong hung up the phone with Lin Momo and turned to walk out of the coffee shop. As soon as he went out, Zuolanji came to him with an eager face. Grandson, do you like any of these three girls? Grandma, they don't like me. Qin Haodong really didn't want to explain too much to the old lady, so he directly put all the blame on them. This trick worked. The old lady said discontentedly, why don't they like my grandson? My grandson is so excellent. Why don't you like them? Son, don't worry. We still have 3 girls tomorrow. Keep looking. I don't believe we can't find a good girl. Qin Haodong was scared and said quickly, Grandma, I really have a girlfriend. I just called her. I'll see you tonight. Really? You're not lying to me? Really? You'll know when you see her tonight. You'll definitely be satisfied. That's great. That's great. The old lady was so happy that she couldn't close her mouth. She said, Grandson, come with me to the mall to buy clothes. We have to dress up to meet my granddaughter-in-law in the evening. Qin Haodong certainly couldn't refuse the old lady's interest. He accompanied Zuolanji to the mall not far away. Before they entered the door, they suddenly heard someone calling, Dongzi, is that you? Qin Haodong looked back and saw a sunny and handsome big boy standing behind him, looking at him with a smile. This was Ma Wenjue, his junior high school classmate and close friend. Ma, it's you. Qin Haodong was also very happy to see his close friend. After going to college, he lost contact with many of his classmates. Only Ma Wenjue and Qin Haodong often kept in touch. Hello, Grandma. After greeting Zuolanji, Ma Wenjue punched Qin Haodong hard on the shoulder and said, When did you come back? Why didn't you call me? Do you still want to be my brother? I just came back yesterday. I didn't have time to go shopping with Grandma. I didn't have time to call you. Qin Haodong said, Let's have a drink tonight. It's my apology to you. Ma Wenjue said, Forget it. It's our class reunion tonight. You should come with us. Class reunion? Why didn't I know? Qin Haodong said. It was organized by Geng Minghui, the class monitor. It was a small gathering of classmates in Wuxia County. No one knew you were back, so I didn't inform you. But since you are here, let's go together. Ma Wenjue said, By the way, do you have a girlfriend? If you do, take her with you. The class monitor told the classmates that if you have a family member and if you have a wife, I'm the only single dog. Qin Haodong asked, What's wrong? Didn't you break up with that Japanese slave for a while? Why haven't you let her go? Ma Wenjue used to be a couple with his junior high school classmate, Zhang Xiaowei. They were going to get married some time ago, but Zhang Xiaowei suddenly found a Japanese man. It was not a big deal to find a Japanese man, but the one Zhang Xiaowei found was not only short and ugly, but also often beat her. But when he was beaten, he always smiled. So the classmates called her Japanese slave. Don't mention that woman. It makes me feel suffocated. Remember to come at 6 o'clock tonight in the number 1 VIP room of the Fragrance Hotel. Be there or be square. Okay, I'll be there tonight. Qin Haodong hadn't seen his classmates for a long time. He wanted to go and have a look, but he didn't say whether he would bring a girlfriend or not, because he needed to ask Lin Momo's opinion. After Ma Wenjue left, Qin Haodong accompanied Zuolanji into the shopping mall and began to shop. At the same time, a big event happened in the officialdom of Jiangnan City. Li Changji, the former secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection, officially became the acting mayor of Jiangnan City. Li Changji had a very good reputation in Jiangnan City. He was an upright official and very smart. He was the most competitive one among many candidates for mayor. In the morning, the leaders officially sent people to inspect several candidates. Some of them wanted to make a fuss about Li Changji's health, but no one expected that his leg, which had not been cured for many years, suddenly recovered. He was in excellent health, which made him invulnerable. In the afternoon, the organization announced the decision to appoint him as the acting mayor. In the office of the county magistrate of Wuxia County, Zhao Yang frowned. What Fu Haiken had done had a very bad influence on Wuxia County. Although it had nothing to do with him as the county magistrate in charge, he still couldn't shirk the responsibility. The most important thing was that this case was personally supervised by Li Changji. Now he was promoted to the mayor. Although he was temporarily the acting mayor, everyone knew that it was just a matter of formality. The new mayor had just taken office, and he had left a bad impression on him. Of course, it was not a good thing for Zhao Yang. He cursed 18 generations of Fu Haiken's ancestors in his heart, but the reality didn't change at all. No, I must hurry to change my impression on the mayor, or my future will be bleak. Zhao Yang kept pacing in the office, thinking about how to change his impression on Li Changji. Suddenly he thought of the young man who was respected by Shi Kuai and Li Changji. In the final analysis, Fu Haiken's case was caused by Qin Haodong, and it could be seen that Shi Kuai and Li Changji had a special relationship with him. If Qin Haodong could put in a good word for him, it would be more effective than anything else. Thinking of this, he found the phone number left by Qin Haodong yesterday and immediately dialed it. As soon as Qin Haodong walked into the mall, his phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID and found it was a strange number. He pressed the answer button and heard the person on the phone said politely, "Hello, Mr. Qin, I'm Zhao Yang." Qin Haodong was slightly stunned, and then realized that Zhao Yang was Magistrate Zhao. He said, "Hello, Magistrate Zhao. Well, Mr. Qin, I want to invite you to dinner tonight. Do you have time?" "Magistrate Zhao, what can I do for you?" Qin Haodong was very clear that as a county magistrate, Zhao Yang would not invite him for dinner for no reason. Zhao Yang said, "Such an unpleasant thing happened to you in Wufeng County, and I'm responsible as a local magistrate. So I want to invite you to dinner to express my apology. Please don't refuse, Mr. Qin." Qin Haodong thought about it. After all, many of his relatives would live in Wufeng County in the future, and it was good to have a good relationship with the magistrate. So he said, "Magistrate Zhao, thank you for your concern, but I have something to do tonight. How about 8 o'clock? Sure. Then let's meet at 8 o'clock in the Fragrant Hotel. I'll send someone to pick you up. Mr. Qin, I won't bother you anymore." Chapter 118. Seeing that Qin Haodong accepted his invitation, Zhao Yang breathed a sigh of relief. After hanging up the phone, he felt much happier. He picked up the notebook on the table and walked into the meeting room next to him. Qin Haodong accompanied Zuolanji to shop for the whole afternoon. He bought some new clothes for the old lady, gold rings and earrings, and decorated her from head to toe. It was nearly 6 o'clock in the evening when he sent Zuolanji home. He drove directly to the Fragrant Hotel. He just left here last night and came here again today. But it was not surprising. Wufeng County was a small county, and there was only one high-class hotel. Soon after he got in the car, his cell phone rang again. It was Lin Momo. "Papa, I miss you." Hearing the voice of the little fellow, Qin Haodong felt his bones were soft. He said happily, "Papa misses you too. Papa, tell me where you are. I'll go to find you with Mama." The little fellow said eagerly. Qin Haodong asked the little fellow to give the phone to Lin Momo, and then said, "I'm going to attend a class reunion. You can come with me." "Is it appropriate for me to go?" Lin Momo said with some confidence. "Of course it's appropriate. Take the little fellow with you. Those guys will be jealous when they see our two beauties." Lin Momo thought for a moment and said, "Well, tell me the address. I'll take Tang Tang there now." "You're not familiar with the road. I'll send you the location when I get there." Qin Haodong said, "What have you been doing this afternoon?" "Lin's group wants to build a jade processing industrial base in Wufeng County. We've taken a fancy to a piece of land and just attended the land bidding. How's the result? With the financial resources of Lin's group, there should be no problem, right?" Qin Haodong said. "It's hard to say. I don't feel very optimistic." Speaking of this, Lin Momo's tone was a little low. "How is it possible? Is there any company more powerful than Lin's group in Wufeng County? You don't know. The business world is very complicated. It's not only the strength of the company, but also other factors such as interpersonal relationships and so on. Our main opponent today is Pang's Group, a local enterprise in Wufeng County. Although they are not large, they are local enterprises and have a very close relationship with all aspects of the county, so I don't think the chance of success is high." Qin Haodong said, "Would you like me to help you? You can't help me with this kind of business competition. I'll handle it myself." In Lin Momo's eyes, although Qin Haodong was a native of Wufeng County, he was just a student with an ordinary family background. It was impossible for him to help her. Qin Haodong smiled and said nothing more. "Well, let's talk about it when we meet." In the first VIP room of the 10 Miles Fragrance Hotel, although it was not yet time for the official gathering, 7 or 8 people had already arrived. They were all Qin Haodong's classmates in junior high school. Most of them did not go to college. After graduating from junior high school, they began to find their own jobs, including Ma Wenjue, who had been working everywhere to make a living. At this time, the students who had arrived earlier were all gathered together to talk, and the family of 3 was sitting in the center. The woman was Qin Haodong's classmate Zhu Linlin. At this time, she was holding a little boy of 3 or 4 years old in her arms. What was different about the little boy was that his skin was black and his hair was curly. He was a purebred black man. And the little boy's father, who was Zhu Linlin's husband, was even darker and shiny. He was 190 meters tall and looked very strong with muscles all over his body. Linlin, I really envy you. You can find a foreigner. The one who spoke was a slightly fat girl. It was Ma Wenjua's ex-girlfriend Zhang Xiaohui. Marrying Cafu is the best choice in my life. He is very good to me and very rich. Zhu Linlin said with a proud face, deliberately showing the big diamond ring on her right hand. Xiaohui, you are also good. I heard that you are going to marry to Neon soon. Zhang Xiaohui suddenly became energetic and said proudly, yes, my boyfriend is a construction engineer in Neon. He is preparing for the wedding. I will marry him next year. You worship foreign things. I really don't know what you women think. Now our country is getting stronger day by day. Is it so good to marry abroad? It was Ma Wenjua who spoke. He came very early today. At first he didn't say anything, but then he couldn't bear it anymore. He said to Zhang Xiaohui angrily, even if you want to marry abroad, you don't have to find a Neon man. Look at your Kamita Jiro. He is less than 1.5 meters tall and walks with bowed legs. I heard that his parents raise pigs in Neon. Are you going to raise pigs? Zhang Xiaohui immediately screamed as if her tail had been stepped on. Ma Wenjua, what are you talking about? What's wrong with being short? What's wrong with raising pigs? They are rich. No matter how bad my boyfriend is, he is 10,000 times better than you, a poor man who works everywhere. I was really blind to fall in love with a person like you. Zhu Linlin glared at Ma Wenjua. Obviously, she was extremely dissatisfied with the words worship foreign things just now. She then said, Ma Wenjua, I didn't expect you to be so nationalistic. But foreign men are better than you. If you have the ability, you should also make more money so that we don't have to go abroad to find one. So I think Xiaohui's choice is right. You are not so good, so don't be jealous of others. After that, she also leaned against Cafu's dark body, with a look that said, don't be jealous of me. With Zhu Linlin's help, Zhang Xiaohui was even more energetic. She pointed at Ma Wenjua's nose and shouted, although he is short, he can make money. You are tall, but you will still be poor for the rest of your life. She then said to several female students next to her, we women should not be stupid when looking for a boyfriend. Linlin is the best example. When she was in school, she also chased after Qin Haodong in our class. Now everyone has seen that Qin Haodong is handsome, but what's the use? Can being handsome be used to eat? Can being handsome be used to spend money? If Linlin married him, would that poor boy be happy now? You. Ma Wenjua trembled with anger. He stamped his feet hard and turned to leave. No one could stop him. As soon as he went out, he bumped into Qin Haodong, who had just come. Ma, you are so early. Where are you going? Ma Wenjua said angrily, Dongzi, this place is not suitable for us to stay. Let's go. I'll treat you to a drink. Qin Haodong glanced at Zhang Xiaohui, who was standing at the door with her arms crossed. He immediately understood what was going on and whispered, what's wrong? Are you still angry with that slave? Ma Wenjua said, Dongzi, why do women nowadays become so snobbish? It's so annoying. In fact, it's normal for Zhang Xiaohui to break up with me. It's not that I can't forget her. It's just that she found a short, ugly and bow-legged Neon man. I really can't swallow it. And Zhu Linlin, who pursued you, turned around and found a big black man. Then she gave birth to a little black man. What's so good about that? For the sake of stinky money, she made her children and grandchildren all black men. Qin Haodong was slightly stunned. He still remembered Zhu Linlin. She was a good-looking girl. She had pursued him for a year in junior high school, but he didn't agree. He didn't expect that she would end up with a black man. It had to be said that black people had strong genes. No matter if they were white or yellow, as long as they married a black man, their children would all be black. This couldn't be changed no matter how much money they had. Forget it. Why are you angry with her? We can't leave. If we leave, it's exactly what the slave wants. We're here for the class reunion. Just ignore her. Ma Wenjua thought that it was really embarrassing to leave like this, so he followed them back. Seeing Ma Wenjua return to the box, Zhang Xiaohui said sarcastically, what's wrong? Did someone give you courage to meet your fellow sufferer? Qin Haodong said, forget it, Xiaohui. We're all here for the class reunion. Let's talk about something fun. He originally wanted to calm down the conflict between Ma Wenjua and Zhang Xiaohui and let it go. Qin Haodong, why are you pretending to be a good person? Everyone knows that you and Ma Wenjua are in the same boat. But there's one thing that you're exactly the same. You're both poor. Qin Haodong's face suddenly darkened. He didn't expect this woman to be so unreasonable. Ma Wenjue said angrily, Zhang Xiaoyi, are you a mad dog? Bite whoever you see. Did Haodong offend you? What? Am I wrong? Zhang Xiaoyi pointed to Zhu Linlin, who was sitting next to them and watching the fun, and said, Look at Linlin now. She's wearing famous brands. Look at the diamond ring on her hand. It's bigger than a pigeon's egg. If she had followed Qin Haodong, I'm afraid that she would also be working outside and wearing the same clothes. Xiaoyi, it's all in the past. Don't talk about it. We were young and ignorant at that time. Fortunately, we didn't make a lifelong mistake. As she spoke, she stretched out her right hand, stroked the huge diamond ring, and said, In fact, this ring is not too expensive. It's only about 500,000 yuan. I guess Qin Haodong can buy such a ring even if he doesn't eat or drink for 8 or 10 years. Dongzi, look at them. Ma Wenjue's face was red. He was about to explode because of these two powerful women. Qin Haodong had 500 years of experience, so he didn't care too much about this kind of trifle. He said, Forget it. It's all in the past. Let them say whatever they want. He didn't want to talk about it anymore, but Zhang Xiaoyi didn't let it go. Qin Haodong had the best relationship with Ma Wenjue, so she also hated Qin Haodong. She said sarcastically, It sounds like what we said was unreasonable. Am I wrong? Poor people like you can only deceive ignorant little girls with your looks. Now we are all adults and no one will be fooled by you anymore. What's the result? You two are single dogs, right? You two are single. No woman will be stupid enough to fall for poor people like you. That's why it's useless for a man to be handsome. The most important thing is to have the ability to make money. Zhu Linlin also said, Xiaoyi's words may be a little harsh, but it's true. You two don't even have a girlfriend. Look at us. Xiaoyi is going to get married soon. My baby is already 3.5 years old. Don't you think it's cute? As she spoke, she held up the little black boy in her hand to show off to everyone. Ma Wenjue was so angry that he said, It's so black. What's so cute about it? Why can't I see it? Zhu Linlin didn't like it and said angrily, You poor man, what are you talking about? Zhang Xiaoyi said, Linlin, don't lower yourself to their level. They can't even find a wife, so they are jealous. Zhu Linlin snorted, Sour grapes. If you have the ability, give birth to a cute one. Chapter 119. Hearing the voice, everyone turned to look at the door at the same time. A little girl of 3 or 4 years old appeared at the door. She had a head of long black hair, a jade-like face, and big eyes like the stars. Coupled with a pink gauze dress, she looked like a princess from a fairy tale or a large doll. She was really very cute. Whose child was this? She was so cute. Her parents must be very beautiful, or they would never have given birth to such an elf-like little girl. Just when everyone was puzzled, the little girl threw herself into Qin Haodong's arms like a bird and kissed him on both cheeks. Papa, I miss you so much. Oh my God, this is Qin Haodong's daughter. Everyone in the room was stunned. No one had expected Qin Haodong to have such a big daughter. Especially Zhu Linlin and Zhang Xiaoyi, they were even more confused at this time. They had just laughed at Qin Haodong for not being able to find a wife, and in the blink of an eye, his daughter ran to them, and she was tens of thousands of times cuter than the little black boy in Zhu Linlin's arms. Qin Haodong was not surprised by the little fellow's arrival at all. He had already sent his location to Lin Momo before entering the door. Tang Tang, where's Mama? Mama is behind me. The little fellow pointed back. Everyone's eyes gathered at the door again. A woman in a white professional suit came in. She looked about 20 years old. Although she was wearing a professional suit, it still could not hide her hot figure. She was curvy, especially the 2 towering mountains on her chest, which were enough to shatter the pride of all the women present. What was more eye-catching than her figure was her appearance, which was almost perfect and impeccable. There were no dead angles and it was extremely exquisite. She had the face of an angel and the body of a devil. The room was strangely quiet for a moment, and only the sound of some male creatures swallowing could be heard occasionally. This woman was not only beautiful, but also had a hot figure and a strong aura. As soon as she appeared, she shocked everyone in the room. Lin Momo moved her sexy long legs and came to Qin Haodong's side under everyone's gaze. She reached out and took his arm. After looking around, she said domineeringly, Who said my husband can't find a wife? He just doesn't like ordinary rotten leaves. Suddenly, there was a dead silence in the room. Everyone had different reactions. The boys were full of envy, jealousy, and hatred for Qin Haodong. They couldn't understand how a poor boy like him could find such a noble and beautiful woman. The girls were extremely shocked. The woman in front of them had a noble temperament, and her looks were off the charts. Moreover, one look and they could tell that she was a person of wealth and status. This kind of woman could no longer be simply described as fair, rich and beautiful. In comparison, people like them could only be called coarse branches and rotten leaves. Zhang Xiaohui, who had been aggressive just a moment ago, was now like an old hen whose neck had been strangled, unable to make any sound. She had always been an unforgiving woman. Her words were extremely mean, and she had never given people any leeway. But at this time she had completely lost her fighting spirit. Facts spoke louder than words. Lin Momo only needed to stand beside Qin Haodong to make the most powerful counterattack. Now she was completely defeated and had nothing to say. She had been slapped in the face. As a former pursuer of Qin Haodong, Zhu Linlin's face was the ugliest at this time. The hateful woman who had just come in had said that she, who had always been proud, was a coarse branch and rotten leaves. This was unacceptable in any case. She wanted to fight back, but when she saw Lin Momo's impeccable beauty and noble temperament, she suddenly felt that she couldn't say anything. The tall black man, Cafu, originally knew little about Wuxia, so when Ma Wenjue and others were quarreling, he had never spoken. But there was no need for words to recognize a beauty. When he saw Lin Momo, Cafu immediately widened his eyes and almost drooled. He ran forward and said in stiff Wuxia language, "Hello, beautiful lady. My name is Cafu. I come from the powerful M country. I have a business in Wuxia and my assets can reach tens of millions. Can we be friends?" After that, Cafu reached out his big black hand to Lin Momo, his face full of expectation. Seeing this scene in front of her, Zhu Linlin's face suddenly became even uglier. She was sitting next to him, but her husband went to talk to another woman, which really made her lose face. However, a woman like her, who completely depended on a man to survive, had no status at home. Although her heart was full of anger, she dared not show it. "I don't like black and I don't want to be friends with you." After Lin Momo finished speaking, she didn't even have the interest to look at Cafu again, let alone shake hands with him. She directly turned her head to Qin Haodong. Cafu didn't expect this Wuxia girl to refuse him. After a stunned look, he shouted, "You can't do this. As long as you are with me, I can buy you gifts and give you money, a lot of money." Lin Momo didn't expect this big black man to be endless. She showed a face of disgust, but this time she didn't even have the interest to talk, so she went directly to the other side of Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong glanced at Cafu, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. This black man was really ignorant. He dared to say that 10 million yuan of assets was a lot of money. Even Lin Momo's pocket money was 10 times more than his. Although Cafu's face was very black and thick, he also felt embarrassed at this time and retreated in embarrassment. Seeing Zhang Xiaohui, Zhu Linlin, and others being humiliated one after another, Ma Wenjue, as a best friend and close brother, was very happy. He punched Qin Haodong's chest fiercely. "Your daughter is so big but you hide it from me. Do you still regard me as a brother?" Qin Haodong pretended to cover his chest with a painful face. There was no way to explain this kind of thing, so he could only muddle through. "Uncle, you can't hit my papa," the little fellow said unhappily. No. Your father and I are best friends. We are just playing." Ma Wenjue said with a loving face, Tang, can you let Uncle hug you? Are you really a friend of Papa?" The little fellow blinked her big eyes and asked. "Of course, I used to wear the same pants as your father," Ma Wenjue said. "Well, Papa's friend can hug me. Great, Tang is so cute." After Ma Wenjue finished speaking, he took the little fellow from Qin Haodong's arms. He looked very loving and careful, as if he was holding a rare treasure. After holding the little fellow in his arms, he remembered that Lin Momo was next to him. He quickly said, "Hello, sister-in-law. My name is Ma Wenjue. Haodong, we are best friends." It was the first time that someone called her sister-in-law. Lin Momo's cheeks turned red. She saw that the relationship between Ma Wenjue and Qin Haodong was really not ordinary. She said politely, "Hello, Lin Momo. Sister-in-law, don't stand there. Sit down." At this time, the depression in Ma Wenjue's chest was swept away. He warmly invited Lin Momo to sit down, and then he also pulled a chair and sat next to Qin Haodong. The little fellow looked around and said to Qin Haodong, "Papa, can I play with that little friend?" At Qin Haodong's age there were not many classmates who were married, and there were even fewer who had children. Now in the private room, the little black boy was Tang's only playmate. "Of course. Although Qin Haodong did not like Zhu Linlin's behavior very much, a child was a child after all. He did not think much about it. He directly put the little fellow on the ground and let her play with the little black boy. Children's minds were much simpler than that of adults. Soon the two children played together. Ma Wenjue looked at the two children standing together and said with emotion, "There is no harm without comparison." Qin Haodong understood what he meant. The little black boy was not likable, and now he was standing next to Tang Tang. It was really a bit tragic, but he still said, "They are all children. You better be kind to them. She is a good Wuxia person, but she has to find a big black guy. I really don't understand what she is thinking." Ma Wenjue muttered and then said no more. After what had just happened, the room seemed a little awkward. Fortunately, it was approaching the time of the party. More and more students came, and the atmosphere gradually became lively. Chapter 120. Wu Wenqing took Zhu Linlin's ring and held it in his hand. He looked at it carefully and said, "Linlin, this diamond ring of yours is good. Whether it's color, clarity, or cutting, it's of the best quality. It's estimated to be about 500,000 yuan." Hearing that a ring was worth 500,000 yuan, the girls around her all looked at her with envy. Zhu Linlin said proudly, "It's really worth 500,000 yuan. I didn't believe it when my husband gave it to me at first. It's just a birthday and he gave me such an expensive gift. Although his family is rich, it's too wasteful. Oh my god, a 500,000 yuan birthday gift. Linlin, you're so lucky. I'll be satisfied if my boyfriend gives me a 50,000 yuan diamond ring on my birthday in a few days. Linlin, your husband is so rich." Zhu Linlin became more and more proud and said, "It's not easy for a woman to find a husband who spoils her, and it's even more difficult to find a rich husband who can spoil her. Not everyone can afford a 500,000 yuan diamond ring, not even a toy boy." After that, she also looked at Qin Haodong provocatively. The meaning in her eyes was self-evident. Wu Wenqing didn't make a fuss like other girls. As a jewelry appraiser, her vision was naturally high. She often saw jewelry worth 5 million yuan, let alone 500,000 yuan. She reached out and handed the ring back to Zhu Linlin. But when she reached out halfway, she suddenly looked excited and looked to the side with dull eyes. This abnormal behavior immediately attracted the attention of all the girls. They all looked in the direction of Wu Wenqing's eyes, but they saw nothing unusual except that Tang Tang was holding a green stone and playing with it. "What's wrong, Wenqing?" Zhu Linlin asked. Wu Wenqing didn't say anything. She directly put the ring in her hand and then quickly came to Tang Tang. She looked excited and said, "Little girl, can you lend me the stone in your hand to have a look? I thought it was something important." "What's so interesting about a broken stone?" Zhu Linlin said discontentedly. She had just used the ring to show off and hadn't had enough fun, but Wu Wenqing's action had diverted everyone's attention. Naturally, she was unhappy. The other students didn't understand what was wrong with Wu Wenqing. She was calm when she saw Zhu Linlin's ring, which was worth 500,000 yuan. Why was she so excited when she saw a stone? The little fellow looked at Wu Wenqing and said, "Auntie, this is a toy from Papa. Mama said I can't show it to anyone." "Then hold it in your hand and let Auntie have a look." Wu Wenqing didn't care about the comments of the surrounding students at all. He was still looking at the green stone in the little fellow's hand with an excited expression. The little fellow hesitated and said, "Okay, but I can only look." After saying that, Tang Tang handed the green stone to Wu Wenqing. Wu Wenqing held the little fellow's hand and looked more and more excited. He murmured, "King's green." While she was chattering, Wu Wenqing saw Lin Momo, who was next to Qin Haodong. She had just calmed down and became excited again. She walked 2 steps to Lin Momo and said with a little nervousness, "Hello, are you President Lin?" Although she was also an employee of Lin's group, she had never seen Lin Momo in person. She had only seen Lin Momo's photos inside the group. Lin Momo nodded and said, "It's me." "Great, President Lin, I finally meet you." "You are my idol," Wu Wenqing said excitedly. Qin Haodong said, "Momo, this is my junior high school classmate Wu Wenqing. She works in your group. Take care of her in the future." Wu Wenqing saw Qin Haodong and said, "Haodong, I was too busy just now and didn't have time to talk to you. When did you come back? How do you know President Lin?" The two had a good relationship when they were at school, so they didn't hesitate to talk. Before Qin Haodong could speak, the little fellow cried, "Auntie, this is my papa, and this is my mama." Hearing the little fellow's words, Wu Wenqing's eyes instantly widened. She never thought that Qin Haodong could be with her idol. Since Qin Haodong had spoken, she had to give him face. She said to Wu Wenqing, I see that you are very good at jade appraisal. Have you studied it professionally? Wu Wenqing said, I've liked jade since I was a child. My grandfather is an expert in this field. I learned a lot from him and became a first-class appraiser a few days ago. Good, your eyes are very sharp. You can see that this is the Ice King green, and the appraisal is accurate. You do have the qualification to be an appraiser. Lin Momo said, since you are Haodong's classmate, we are not strangers. Would you like to come to the headquarters of the group? Yes, of course. Wu Wenqing said hurriedly. It was the dream of every employee of Lin's group to be able to enter the headquarters of the group. Because the headquarters not only paid well, but also had more opportunities and more room for improvement. Because of this, it was extremely difficult for ordinary people to enter the headquarters of the group. Lin Momo said, well, get ready tomorrow and report to the headquarters the day after tomorrow. The initial salary is 50,000 yuan. If you perform well in the future, you can raise it again. Everyone present was shocked. They never dreamed that Qin Haodong's girlfriend turned out to be the president of Lin's group. Everyone in Jiangnan City knew about Lin's group. It was one of the largest financial groups. If ordinary people worked there, they could enter the high-income group in one step. At the same time, Lin's group's jade industry was well known in Wuxia. At this time, no one doubted that the jade in the little fellow's hand was a stone. Zhang Xiaohui was dumbfounded. She never thought that Qin Haodong, who she looked down on the most, would be the president of Lin's group. No wonder his child could play with jade that was worth 100 million yuan. That was because he was rich. Zhu Linlin was the most irritated. Lin's group's industry was as high as tens of billions. It was ridiculous that she just showed off her husband's industry, which was worth more than 10 million yuan. It was nothing in front of Lin's group. She had always liked to show off the diamond ring on her hand, but now it couldn't be compared with the toy in the hands of Qin Haodong's child. She had no capital to show off at all. It seemed that compared with Qin Haodong, she was indeed a real poor person. What's the big deal? So what if you have money? Good health is the most important thing. Who among you can be stronger than my husband? Zhu Linlin reluctantly found a reason to comfort herself, and then sat back in her seat. This time she took off the diamond ring and put it in her bag. She never took it out to show off again. However, everyone knew that she was seeking self-comfort. Those envious eyes that looked at her turned into sarcasm. As Zhu Linlin and Zhang Xiaohui closed their mouths, the matter just passed. The students began to chat in groups of 2 or 3 again, but the focus obviously shifted to Lin Momo and Qin Haodong. Ma Wenjue said in Qin Haodong's ear, Dongzi, you're really good. You even got the president of Lin's group. Don't look at me like that, okay? I'm not a man who lives off a woman. Qin Haodong smiled and said, what are you busy with recently? Would you like to come to Jiangnan to help me? He knew that his brother was still very talented, but he lacked the opportunity to show it. If he could come to Jiangnan City to help him, it would definitely be a great help. Ma Wenjue said with a smile, well, I heard that there are many beautiful women in Lin's group. The salary is not a big deal. The key is to solve personal problems. Qin Haodong said with a smirk, you don't have to think about beautiful women. I opened a security company. I don't have beautiful women, but I have a group of men. I can find all kinds of men. Ma Wenjue instantly got goosebumps and cried, what the hell, I don't have such a heavy taste like you. Qin Haodong said, come to me, your salary will not be lower than Wu Wenqing's. We're brothers, don't talk about money. Anyway, I can feed myself and my family is not hungry. You can take care of my meals. Chapter 121. Zhu Linlin quickly ran over and asked, Kanua, what's wrong with you? It's all her fault. It's all her fault. The little black boy pointed at her and said. The little fellow looked innocent and explained, Auntie, it's not my fault. I just gave him a piece of chocolate. He bit his finger. It turned out that the 2 children were having a good time together. She took out 2 pieces of dark chocolate from her pocket, one for herself and the other for Kanua. The little black boy had never eaten chocolate before. He thought it was delicious, but after 2 bites he bit his finger. In Wuxia there was a joke that black people couldn't eat dark chocolate because it was easy to bite their fingers. No one expected that they would meet the reality version today. So after listening to the little fellow, everyone immediately understood what was going on and couldn't help laughing. Ma Wenjue laughed so hard that he couldn't catch his breath and said, it's so funny. It's really funny. This child is so cruel. He bit himself like this. There's really no one else like him. Zhu Linlin was distressed and angry when she saw her son bite her finger. She shouted angrily at the little fellow, "Who asked you to give him chocolate? We usually don't buy it for him. Why did you give it to him?" Ma Wenjue said, "Zhu Linlin, can you be more shameless? She gave your son food because of unity and friendship. How dare you criticize her? You can only blame your son for being too dark and unable to distinguish fingers from chocolate." After he finished speaking, the students around him also began to talk about it. Everyone one-sidedly said that it was not the little fellow's fault. Zhu Linlin shouted angrily, "What are you talking about? You just think he's rich. You can't do this to flatter him. Linlin, how can you talk like this? We are talking reason with you. What does it have to do with flattery? Zhu Linlin, can you be reasonable? We are all classmates. Is it necessary to do this?" Just as everyone was arguing with Zhu Linlin, the little black boy seemed to have sensed his mother's emotions and became crazy. He rushed toward the little fellow viciously and slammed his black head into the little fellow's face. The people next to her exclaimed. Although they were all children, Tang Tang's cute face would definitely be hurt if she bumped into them. Maybe her nose would be broken. However, it was too sudden and there were no adults around the two children. It was too late to stop them. Just when everyone was sweating for the little fellow, Tang Tang suddenly flashed to the side and nimbly avoided Kano's collision. But after she dodged because Kanua used too much force, he couldn't stop even if he wanted to. All of a sudden, he crashed into the corner of the table at the side, and a bloody wound immediately opened up on his forehead, fresh blood flowing out. Wah! The little black boy didn't bump into the little fellow, but he was injured again. He felt extremely wronged and started crying like a wolf. It's all your fault that my son got hurt again. Zhu Linlin vented all her anger on the little fellow. Don't blame me. He was the one who hit me. The little fellow looked aggrieved as he tried his best to explain. But at this time, a big black claw grabbed the little fellow's chest. It turned out that Crawford, who was standing on the side, was angry. He also blamed his son's injury on Tang Tang. Although the little fellow's physical quality was far better than that of her peers, the time of practicing Shintian Sutra was too short after all, and she couldn't be compared with adults. Seeing that Crawford's big hand was about to grab Tang Tang's chest, another hand stretched out from the side and grabbed Crawford's wrist with a bang. Qin Haodong's hand was much smaller than Kafu's, and his arm was not as strong as the muscular Kafu's. But with such a casual grab, Kafu's thick arm seemed to be fixed, and it was difficult to move forward. "Huasha man, you're courting death," Crawford yelled, and his other fist hit Qin Haodong's face with the sound of the wind. Qin Haodong raised his hand and grabbed Crawford's other wrist. Crawford wanted to struggle, but he couldn't shake Qin Haodong's hands with all his strength, as if he was clamped by an iron clamp. "Black man, I'll let you go this time for the sake of the class reunion. If you dare to touch my daughter again next time, I'll break your bones." After Qin Haodong finished speaking, he gently pushed his hands forward. Crawford's body, which weighed 200 kilograms, flew out in the air, smashed several chairs in succession, and rolled on the ground a few times. Finally he hit the wall and stopped. The people present were frightened. They didn't expect that Qin Haodong, who didn't look strong, could easily deal with the tall Crawford. Qin Haodong held the little fellow in his arms. Tang Tang said with a wronged face, "Papa, it's really not my fault. I just gave him a piece of chocolate." "I know it's not your fault. Tang Tang is a good girl." Qin Haodong comforted her. Zhu Linlin had just lifted her son, and she didn't expect her husband to be beaten to crawl on the ground. She roared angrily, "Qin Haodong, what do you want to do? It's not what I want to do, but what do your family want to do?" Qin Haodong's expression was completely cold. He didn't care about Zhu Linlin's sarcasm just now. After all, they were classmates. But now this black man dared to hurt his daughter, which was absolutely unforgivable. "It's your child's lack of education that caused my son to suffer such a serious injury. You must apologize and compensate us for our losses." Ma Wenjue said unfairly, "Zhu Linlin, can't you be a little shameless? It's obvious that your son has no education." He bit his own hand and vented his anger on Tang Tang. It's his own fault that he fell down. Can you blame him just because his surname is Zhu? Zhang Xiaohui had always been on the same side as Zhu Linlin. She said, "Anyway, Linlin's husband and son were injured. An apology and compensation are necessary." Qin Haodong said coldly, "If you just lack money to see a doctor as a classmate, I can give you some, but if you want my daughter to apologize, it's impossible because my daughter is not wrong." Wu Wenqing said, "We are all classmates. Today's incident was also an accident. Let's talk about compensation later. Hurry up and send the child to the hospital. Zhu Linlin cried rudely, "No, Qin Haodong hurt my son and husband. He must apologize and compensate us today." At this time, Crawford also got up from the ground, but this time he already knew how powerful Qin Haodong was. He no longer dared to step forward, but stood beside Zhu Linlin and cried, "How dare you hit me? I'm a citizen of M country. I'm going to complain to the embassy. We are first-class citizens in the world. You Huaxia people must pay the price. If you don't want me to complain, give me that green stone." After he said this, more than a dozen classmates in the private room looked at Crawford as if they were looking at an idiot. This black man was really greedy. The King Green Jade was worth more than 100 million yuan. He wanted to take it for himself because of such a small thing, and the responsibility was on his side. Ma Wenjue cried, "Black man, first-class citizen, bullshit. You can complain as you like. Do you think our Huaxia is still the Huaxia of the past? Now Huaxia people are not afraid of your M country." "That's right. Do you think we Huaxia people are easy to bully? Get out of here. You are not welcome here." Crawford's words angered the public and everyone drove him away together. "What are you doing? My husband and my son were injured. If you do this again, I will call the police." Zhu Linlin shouted loudly, but it was obvious that she was not confident. She was completely fierce in appearance but weak in heart. "Call the police as you like. We can testify for Qin Haodong. Your son's injury is his own fault. Big black man's injury is also his own fault. Zhu Linlin, you have become like this after marrying a black man. You should go too. Our classmates don't welcome you, that's right. Don't say that I'm your classmate in the future. I can't afford to lose that person." Seeing that she had angered the public, Zhu Linlin did not know whether to stay or leave. She was in an awkward dilemma for a while. Of course, she would not choose to call the police because she also knew that it was useless to call the police because the responsibility was all on their side. Zhang Xiaohui whispered in her ear, "Linlin, take the child to see a doctor first. Leave it to me. When my cousin comes, I will ask him to teach Qin Haodong a good lesson and avenge you." Geng Minghui, the class monitor in their junior high school and the convener of today's party, was the son of Zhang Xiaohui's aunt. Although they were the same age, Geng Minghui was a few months older than her. "Well, I'll go first. I must let the class monitor teach this toy boy a lesson." After saying that, Zhu Linlin glared at Qin Haodong with hatred, and then walked out of the private room with the child and Kafu in her arms. After they left, Ma Wenjue said, "They finally left. I feel uncomfortable looking at them. I really don't understand why a good Huaxia person would find a big black man." Zhang Xiaohui was suddenly unhappy and cried, "What do you mean? Do Huaxia people have to find Huaxia people? Is it rebellious to find a foreigner?" Ma Wenjue said, "When did I say it was rebellious? It's okay to find a foreigner, but you should find a decent one. Look at you two. You found a black man and you found a short man with a bow leg. Aren't you shaming us Huaxia people?" Being poked at the sore point again, Zhang Xiaohui screamed, "Ma Wenjue, tell me today who is shaming us Huaxia people?" Just then 2 people came in the door. The one in front was wearing a suit and glasses looking gentle. The one in the back had a crew cut, a big gold chain around his neck as thick as a little finger, and a big bright gold watch on his wrist. He looked like a local tyrant. The man with glasses was the initiator of today's party, Geng Minghui, the class monitor. After entering the door, he said to Zhang Xiaohui, "Xiaohui, we are having a class reunion today. Why are you quarreling again?" "Cousin, you're here. I've been bullied." Zhang Xiaohui directly pulled Geng Minghui to the corner and kept talking. From time to time, she pointed at Ma Wenjue and Qin Haodong. Although they couldn't hear what she said, everyone could see that she was definitely not saying good things about Qin Haodong. Lin Momo frowned slightly and whispered in Qin Haodong's ear, "Are these 2 your classmates?" Qin Haodong said, "Yes, the one with glasses is Geng Minghui, the class monitor, and the one with the gold chain is Pang Cheng. His family business is also very big." "What's wrong? Do you know them?" "I saw them at the land bidding just now. Geng Minghui is the secretary of the county magistrate, and Pang Cheng is the representative of the Pong's group I mentioned. They must have come together after the land bidding meeting. It seems that they have a good relationship." Lin Momo said, "It seems that the Pong's group does have a lot of connections in Wufeng County, so I don't think there is much hope of success in this bidding." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "It doesn't matter. You have me. As long as I'm here, it doesn't matter how many connections they have." Chapter 122. Dear students, welcome to attend today's class reunion for my sake. Gung Minghui adjusted his glasses, showed a formal smile and continued, I'm really sorry. I'm too busy at work so I'm a little late. Please forgive me. At this time, Pang Qing beside him said, Class Monitor Minghui is now on a meteoric rise in his official career. He has become the Secretary of Magistrate Zhao not long after he started working. He is the number 2 chief of our Wufeng County. He is definitely an example for our classmates to learn from. Hearing that Gung Minghui had become the Secretary of the County Magistrate, the students present applauded and many showed envious eyes. In a small place like Wufeng County, it was absolutely glorious to be the Secretary of the County Magistrate, and he would be respected wherever he went. Only Qin Haodong kept teasing his daughter and didn't even look at Gung Minghui. He didn't even pay attention to the County Magistrate Zhao Yang, let alone the County Magistrate's secretary. Gung Minghui glanced at Qin Haodong with dissatisfaction in his eyes, but it soon disappeared. He waved his hand to the applauding students and said, Don't listen to Pang Cheng's nonsense. There are many students who are better than me, but Magistrate Zhao really values me. He is not at ease to leave everything to others. The county just held a land bidding meeting in the afternoon, and then Magistrate Zhao asked me to book a private room in Shirley Xiang to entertain distinguished guests here in the evening, so I came a little late. Gung Minghui said modestly, but the complacency on his face could not be concealed at all. Pang Qing said with a flattering face, You are the number 2 chief. It's natural for you to be busy. We are all classmates, no one has any opinion. Gung Minghui obviously enjoyed this flattery very much. He patted Pang Qing on the shoulder and said, After graduation, many of you haven't seen each other for 7 or 8 years. Let me introduce you. Now Pang Qing is a great entrepreneur and the heir of Pang's group. In terms of ability he is a promising young man. In terms of identity and status, he is definitely the gold medal child of our Wufeng County. Let me tell you that Pang Qing is the representative of Pang's group at the land bidding meeting held in the county just now. He is a popular competitor in this bidding meeting, representing our Wufeng County to bid for this land with Lin's group. The students in the room applauded at first, and then they realized that the president of Lin's group was sitting next to Qin Haodong. You flatter me. You flatter me. Businessmen like us still need Chief Number 2's help to make a living. Pang Qing said proudly, Our Pang's group is determined to win this land bid. After the bid is successful, we will build the largest entertainment center in Wufeng County and even in Jiangnan City. Qing, when the time comes the students can go and play, Pang will be free of charge. After that, he made an expression as if he had just seen Lin Momo. He pretended to be surprised and said, Oh, isn't this President Lin of Lin's group? I didn't expect to see you here. I'm sorry I said something wrong just now. Lin Momo just glanced at him coldly and did not speak. A conglomerate of the size of Pang's group could only have some say in a small place like Wufeng County. Looking at the whole Jiangnan province, it could not be compared with Lin's group at all. The difference in industrial scale was hundreds of times. Gung Minghui said, I just said that many of our classmates are better than me, such as our classmate Qin Haodong, who has become a gigolo to the extreme. Unexpectedly, he has found the president of Lin's group, who is worth tens of billions of yuan. It's really worth learning. After he said this, the room immediately became quiet. Everyone knew that Gung Minghui was targeting Qin Haodong, which should have something to do with Zhang Xiaohui's complaint just now. Everyone's eyes were focused on Qin Haodong, but Qin Haodong did not care at all. There was still a faint smile on his face. Emperor Greenwood's preferences were completely based on his heart, and it was not the turn of others to criticize him. An ant like Gung Minghui was not in his eyes at all. But Ma Wenjue next to him was unhappy and said, Gung Minghui, what are you talking about? Who are you calling a gigolo? Gung Minghui said with a sneer, Do you still need to say that? Of course, I'm talking about our classmate Qin Haodong. When I was at school, I thought he had the potential to be a gigolo. I didn't expect him to be employed so soon. Pang Qing had already seen Gung Minghui's intention and said, Qin Haodong really has the potential to be a gigolo. If the rich woman Lin is tired of you one day, then just come to my entertainment company. I believe that the business will definitely be very good. Both men and women can be attracted to you. Compared with Gung Minghui, this guy's words hurt people's self-esteem more and more. Qin Haodong's face slowly became cold. Ma Wenjue said angrily, Pang Qing, Gung Minghui, what the hell are you doing? We're all classmates. How can you talk like that? It's too much. Gung Minghui said with a cold face, Am I too much or is he too much? Relying on the fact that he has a rich woman to bully the girls in our class. Pang Qing said, I really feel ashamed to be classmates with such a person. Gung Minghui pointed to Qin Haodong and cried, there are all kinds of dishes here today but there is no dinner. Get out of here. The students in the room were in awe. They didn't expect Gung Minghui to be so cruel. He directly wanted to drive Qin Haodong out, which was equivalent to directly breaking off the relationship between classmates. If Qin Haodong was driven out, he would be even more disgraced. Even if he met his classmates again in the future, he would never be able to raise his head. However, at this time, everyone kept silent. Compared with Qin Haodong, they dared not offend Gung Minghui and Pang Cheng. These two people were rich and powerful. Once they provoked them, they might not be able to survive in Wufeng County in the future. Zhang Xiaohui looked at Qin Haodong with a face full of pride and cried, did you hear that? Gigolo, as a man you don't think about your own efforts, but have the cheek to live off a woman. It's a shame for men. Ma Wenzhuo was about to get angry, but was stopped by Qin Haodong. He looked up at Gung Minghui and the other two and said lightly, do you really want to drive me away regardless of the relationship between us? Are you sure you won't regret it? Gung Minghui sneered and said, Gigolo, do you still want to scare me at this time? Don't think you're great because you have Lin's group as your backer. This is Wufeng County, my territory. Lin's group can't do anything here. To tell you the truth, Magistrate Zhao has confirmed the result of this afternoon's bidding meeting. That land belongs to my brother Pang Cheng. Lin's group can't even think about it. While he was talking, the cell phone in his pocket suddenly rang. Gung Minghui picked up the phone and glanced at it. His arrogant face immediately showed a trace of flattery. Hello, Magistrate Zhao, this is Minghui. What can I do for you? You've arrived. Let me go to the hotel gate to meet the distinguished guest. Don't worry, I'll go right away. After hanging up the phone, he seemed to change his face and immediately became arrogant again. He shouted to Qin Haodong, Gigolo, did you hear that? Get out of here with your woman. I have important things to do. Qin Haodong sneered and said, isn't it just to go out to meet the distinguished guest? You don't have to go. I'm the distinguished guest you have to meet. As soon as the words came out, everyone in the room showed a surprised look. They didn't understand why Qin Haodong said such words. In everyone's eyes, Qin Haodong relied on Lin Momo to make a living. Even Magistrate Zhao of Lin's group didn't like him. How could he become Zhao Yang's distinguished guest? Gung Minghui and the other two people were slightly stunned and then laughed. Zhang Xiaohui said sarcastically, Qin Haodong, you really know how to put gold on your face. If a gigolo like you can be the distinguished guest of Magistrate Zhao, then I will be the Queen of England. Pang Cheng also laughed and said, then I'm the richest man in the world. Qin Haodong really didn't want to pay attention to these idiots. He directly took out his mobile phone from his pocket and dialed Zhao Yang's phone number. Magistrate Zhao, you've arrived. I'm in the number 1 VIP room of the Fragrance Hotel. Come here. Zhao Yang was afraid that his lateness would make Qin Haodong unhappy, so he came to the Fragrance Hotel early. After receiving his phone call, he said politely, I'm sorry Mr. Qin, I'm still late. Please wait a moment, I'll be there right away. Seeing Qin Haodong hang up the phone, Gung Minghui and the others laughed more wildly. Gung Minghui pointed to Qin Haodong's nose and cried, Gigolo, no wonder you can cheat President Lin. You're really good at pretending. If Magistrate Zhao invites you to dinner, then I'll be the Prime Minister of the country. He was talking unscrupulously and his saliva was flying. Suddenly, the door of the private room was opened, and Zhao Yang appeared at the door with a smile on his face. After seeing Zhao Yang, Gung Minghui was instantly petrified, and the smile on his face immediately became uglier than crying. But until now, he didn't believe that Zhao Yang invited Qin Haodong. He thought it was just a coincidence. He quickly said, Magistrate Zhao, you're here. I'll go out to meet the distinguished guest now. Zhao Yang looked at him discontentedly and said, no, the distinguished guest is here. There's no need to pick him up. Then he walked over and shook hands with Qin Haodong enthusiastically. He said apologetically, I'm sorry Mr. Qin. I invited you to dinner but I'm late. At this time, everyone was dumbfounded. Even a fool could see that the distinguished guest Zhao Yang mentioned was Qin Haodong. What the hell was going on? Why was Magistrate Zhao so polite to Qin Haodong? Was it because of Lin's group? No, Zhao Yang didn't talk to Lin Momo after entering the door. Obviously, it had nothing to do with Lin's group. There was only one answer. Qin Haodong's own identity was very special, so Zhao Yang respected him so much. But Qin Haodong was their junior high school classmate, and his family was not rich. What the hell happened? No matter what other people thought, Qin Haodong said lightly, It's not that Magistrate Zhao is late. I'm early. I have a classmate party here. Zhao Yang said with a smile. Oh. It turns out that Ming Hui and Mr. Qin are classmates. I really haven't heard him mention it. Qin Haodong said, I used to be but not now. Just now, he and Pang Qing wanted to drive me away, saying that it was a shame to be classmates with people like me. Geng Minghui had just come to his senses at this time. At this time, his intestines were blue with regret. For Zhang Xiaowei and Zhu Linlin, he had offended a person who even Magistrate Zhao was very respectful to. It was not worth it at all. But who could have thought that Qin Haodong had such a relationship with Magistrate Zhao? Pang Qing was also dumbfounded. The reason why he went against Qin Haodong was to please Geng Minghui, the secretary of the county magistrate. He didn't expect to offend the county magistrate. It was not worth it. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.